James Work Memorial Stadium in Delaware Valley College. Central Bucks West and Central Bucks East, the annual Thanksgiving Day game, which is a classic because among games in this area in the Delaware Valley, perhaps no game over the years has had such significance and meaning for football teams, particularly today for Central Bucks West, ranked undoubtedly first in the state with the North Hills loss to Gateway. And at this point for West, this is a state championship football game. For Central Bucks East, it is obviously the opportunity to do what many teams have come close to doing this year, but none have accomplished, to defeat the team that is acknowledged as the leader of football in the state of Pennsylvania. And with me, Marvin Walensik, today is Frank Case, veteran color man, veteran player, and getting a little grayer with age, joining us. Frank, today, a big one, a great day and a great potential for an exciting football game.
I agree, and I think if I can borrow a cliche, then the best team really will win today. And the reason I say that is this, Marv. All year long, Central Bucks West has been the best team. 10 times they've come out and played exceedingly well in a number of difficult games. If CB East has had a problem all year, it's been one of intensity and, moreover, being able to maintain that intensity for 4 quarters. What I'm driving at is this. There is not going to be a problem with level of intensity at this game or concentration because, as you said, it's a state playoff for CB West, and it is obviously East's biggest game of the year. So I think that East is going to be like the fire at the circus. Intense.
Intense. Frank, the field conditions today, as you see the movement down below us with the fine CB West marching band, the field, from the tremendous rainfall we had last night, is in excellent condition, a credit to the always excellent ground crew here at Delaware Valley College. And there is little or no question that as this game wears on, in the center areas of the field, between the 20s, the mud and factor will become an important situation. Slippage, footing, defensive footing, it'll be important. But right now the wind is blowing. It's a tremendous wind coming left to right in the stadium. You see it reflected in the flags. And what we have before us today is the opportunity for Central Bucks East to put it together in one great final conclusion. And it is very difficult to imagine that the seniors, particularly on the East football team, would not want to go out with a grand and glorious victory. The last time Central Bucks East defeated Central Bucks West was a 10-7 victory. I think that's 3 or 4 years ago. And now, standing down below us, and I think thinking about the mud and rain we had last year, and with him, it looks like Ernie Gash, the athletic director at East, and Rodney Stone, the athletic director at West. And Norm, what'd you think? This is last year?
After last year being delayed 2 days for the game and the rain yesterday, I wanted to come prepared, so I got my black and gold umbrella for East or for West and my blue jacket for West. And I don't think I'm going to need them, so I'm going to take them off right now because all I'm going to need is my sunglasses today. It's a beautiful day. It's a little cold. I think the temperature's so far down here on the field, but certainly not going to need this. I went out on the field earlier today, and I'll tell you, the field is quite mushy as it can be. And I think there might be some difficulty there, but otherwise it's a beautiful sunny day for the Thanksgiving Day game. And before we get started, I'd like to introduce a couple people to you that have a big interest in this game today. First of all, the athletic director from Central Bucks East, Ernie Nash. Ernie, welcome. Thank you for being on the show today.
It's a pleasure to be here. And you said it's a beautiful day out here today.
I think that we'll have a good game both ways, even at that. Ernie, this year's the first year of the Suburban 1 League. We changed off from the Bucksmont League of last year, and the question I have for you is, what do you think so far of the league, the way it's been set up, and the future of the Suburban 1 Colonial Division?
Okay, first of all, I would say the 24 gigantic as far as the organization, and I think if all the ADs, principals, and coaches work together, it can really be great. The potential is there. Now, coming down to the Colonial League, the Colonial Division that we are in, that is really outstanding. When you have Abington, Norristown, and East, West, North Penn, and Penn Ridge, it's just outstanding. How did we as a school district, and I think we ought to talk about both East and West, not East over West, especially at today's Super Thanksgiving Day game. There are 7 possible championships in the division, team championships in the division. And what took place is that West won the cross country, West won the football, East won soccer, hockey, and golf. That means 5 out of those 7 championships came back to the Central Bucks School District. On Tuesday night over at the Moose, where we had the kickoff dinner, I think I was really proud to be there and hear what Dr. Newman had to say about the program, about most districts would like to have maybe one team the same as East or West. And at the present time, he has 2 in his own school district. And I don't mean that he owns them, but to be the superintendent of it. Therefore, I feel both CB East and CB West have made themselves accountable with an athletic program in this new Suburban 1 League Colonial Division. And when we played the teams across conference, we did an excellent job. And as I say, in football, as you look coming right now, we only lost really like 1 game across division in that area, and West has not lost any to this point.
Well, I agree with you, Ernie. I think that Suburban 1 League has been good for the Central Bucks School District, especially for East and West, and I look forward to some good competition in the future. Thanks very much for stopping by. Appreciate
Okay,
it.
thanks.
You
Happy
betcha.
Thanksgiving.
You bet. Same to you. I'd like to introduce to you Rod Stone, who's the athletic director of the Central Bucks West team, the Bucks. Rod, I'll tell you, you've had another good year, 3 years in a row. You've got 31 wins, no losses. What do you think about the team's prospects for the future?
Well, Coach Pettin's done such a great job. Those 31 wins really have to be attributed to him. These seniors have not lost a game in the 3 years that they've been here. As far as their prospects for the future, their linemen and a lot of their skill position are all junior players, so they expect to have a real good team next year.
Well, that's good, and I think that it speaks well that they've done so well within the Suburban 1 League. This is the first year of the league out of the old Bucksmont League, and I think that both teams, both East and West, have done extremely well within that new league.
Well, they've done real well. We've always looked for tough non-league games. This year I contacted Ridley and Owen J. Roberts, and neither of them had a spot to play us. So we're glad to get the Suburban League teams and play that tough schedule. Coach Pettin's never shied away from any tough games.
Well, I look forward to the future with the Suburban 1 League. Look forward to the future, both East and West, and thank you for stopping by.
Thank you,
nice talking to you,
Norm.
Rod.
Thanks.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to go ahead and take off this rain jacket and get ready for the game. So Walt and Frank, or Marvin Frank, excuse me, Walt was my other partner. I'm going to turn it back up to you.
Norm, a great interview. And Norm Stanley, certainly something that the folks here watching this football game tonight would always be happy to hear, the tremendous impact that the Central Bucks teams have had already on the Colonial Division of the Suburban 1. For those of us up here, we're prepared to see some enormous individual matchups along the line of scrimmage, and we call your attention to the fact that if you look at the battle of linemen, at the battle of individuals along the line, you may see what is really going to happen in this football game today, because performance and performance, man and man, this game today will bring out more in individual effort and intensity than anything else. Finally, a salute to the coaching staffs of both teams. It is not merely the head coaches, John Calpin and Mike Pettin, who receive accolades, but it is the staffing, and particularly this year, our hat is off to the staff at Central Bucks West, which lost tremendous numbers from last year and probably did the best coaching job that's been done at West in the history of the school. At East, I think in an entry into a year in which the team had an unusual chemistry, they never went into a protracted slump, and that coaching staff deserves great credit, and today it will not be a mark of failure to either staff if they lose this football game, but we're looking forward to what could be one of the best of the entire series. Shortly, the classic pregame traditional performance of this classic will be underway. And right now, below us on your screen, you see them introducing the seniors from Central Bucks East, who know that this is the last time, as so many seniors from both teams before them know. And Frank Case, one of the things which makes this game very special is the return of all of those players who formerly played in it. The young people from wherever they are today who gather here on Thanksgiving Day with friends and family, but come back for this football game. And the other interesting thing to me, Frank, is the way the two teams have traditionally never had that kind of bitterness which accompanies some rivalry. You see players from both sides shaking hands, and perhaps maybe some of that is due to the Bucks County All-Star game, where so many players from these two teams really met and joined together. But the carryover is apparent in this very emotional morning for both football teams.
I think also the fact that they go to junior highs and elementary schools together and churches and dances or whatever it is. These guys, for the most part, know, I would venture a guess that all the seniors on West Squad know all the seniors on East Squad. So it is for bragging rights of the Doylestown area.
Now, Frank, down below us, Norm Stanley is gathered once again. And Norm, how's it look down there? Is the sounds and the sights that you're getting at field side?
Well, I've come down on the field to show you a little bit what I was talking about before about the mushy field. You can see in back of me.
Well, we thought we could pick up Norm Stanley, but apparently some of those little gremlins that get into that system once in a while have taken away the voice of Norm Stanley, and that's a disappointment for the fans because Norm does the great job.
Number 66, Brett Smith. Wearing number 76,
Now below us, they're introducing the seniors from Central Bucks West. And Frank, part of today's football game, which will certainly, in which neither team will ask quarter nor give, part of the emotion and the aspect and really what's critical to this football game today is the approach and the feeling, in my mind, that East, which has been an up and down team all year, will have in this football game, and what the first few breaks, and you know they always happen in this game, what the effect of those will be. They have always had a pillaring effect on this football game. Just a minute, Frank. Think about that, because we got Norm back. Norm Stanley.
Field was quite mushy, and as you can see, they put a little bit of straw down here on the sidelines in order to keep the traction on at least the sidelines. And at my feet here, there's a lot of very, very mushy mud, and that's the way it is out there in the center of the field also. So I think we're going to see a lot of slipping and sliding around today. We could see some fumbles, and I hope we don't see many injuries. But the field is mushy. At least it's sunny. Maybe it'll dry out before the end of the game. Back to you.
Thanks, Norm, and we see the teams are lining up, and in a moment we'll have the presentation of the captains in the center of the field. Now, Central Bucks West will not have in uniform for play today its fine co-captain Matt Baggett, who will take the toss. Number 13, you'll see him shortly on crutches. But Central Bucks East, one of the questions today is who goes at quarterback, because Rusty Paulus, who's been the veteran engineer, the senior, has been hurt, and whether he plays at quarterback or whether the young Coverdale, who has done so well in his first start, will get the reins in such a pivotal football game today. Frank, how do you see the absence of a Paulus in affecting the East football team?
Well, I think you hit it on the head right there. It's in terms of leadership and knowing that the guy can get it done for you. I don't think that it's going to be that big a difference because, in my opinion, the way they're going to win the game is on the ground, and it's going to be mostly on Paulus's or Coverdale's handoffs. So I don't think it's going to be an enormous factor, although it will be some. But as you see right there, number 13's down, and taking number 14 for East out of the game is maybe mez.
Well, number 14 is out there shaking hands in uniform. And Frank, Drew Wolf, Matt Baggett, Rusty Paulus, and Jeff Bernhardt. And let's hear the toss of the coin.
Got that correct so far. You're going to receive, you're going to defend that goal. So you're going to be kicking from down there. All right, stand here for a second. We have them. West deferring.
West has won the toss.
Okay.
And
You line up
elected
here.
to further
You line up there.
the second half.
We have reception here. Gentlemen, have a good game. Your coin. Do well. Come right out. Bring your teams. Best of luck to you. Watch yourself going back.
Well, Frank, the toss of the coin has been won by Central Bucks West, who has deferred as they can under the rules their choice. And Frank, what do you think about Greg Coverdale opening at quarterback?
I think, to reiterate, that it's the parts are pretty much interchangeable at that point. I think that one of the most memorable things right now is for the four fellas who got to flip the coin. I think this is the highlight of many people's athletics careers, the zenith for many of these players right here. And I just hope they remember to stop and smell the roses, so to speak.
Well, Frank, I can tell you from personal experience, it does have a nice effect on a young man to go out and take that toss of the coin. Frank, one of the things that also ought to fit in our picture of adjustment is the play of Corey Nolan, who was thrust into the starting quarterback position when Baggett went down and has done absolutely a more than that. People said, can he be competent? He's been much more than competent, and he's picked up every game. And so all kinds of things parallel each other, Frank, between these two football teams. And we'll see what happens here momentarily, because both teams have returned to the sideline. East has elected to receive the football.
Well, I think it's interesting, Marv, that West, moreover, declined their option. They won the toss and gave it to East. So, and what happened, in fact, is West elected to kick. So I think that speaks well of Central Bucks West defense. Obviously, Mike Pettin feels that they have a better chance of shutting East down than they do of putting a drive together to start the game, and that's how he elected to go, Marv.
I think it makes sense, Frank, when you consider the nature of the way the West defense has played all year. They have been probably the heart and soul, because if you take the number of points they put on the board in close football games, while the offense has made the critical march at all times, they've never failed to do it, the defense is what's held it together and prevented the other team from getting totally out of reach.
Well, Vince Lombardi said that offense wins games, but defense wins championships.
Frank, this today may be a factor also, because there is a huge wind blowing from the west end of the field, as you see them lined up, to the east end of the field, toward the non-scoreboard end of the field, toward the New Britain end of the field. And Frank, you see below us the football getting ready, and I think they may set it up on a tee because of the wind. Getting
ready for the reception for CB East is going to be Bart Sparango and Brad DeLauder.
DeLauder, brother of Mark DeLauder, who is playing for Susquehanna, Frank, this weekend in the playoffs against Salisbury State. They Division III NCAA playoffs will be at Susquehanna, and Mark a member of that team.
Well, good luck to the Sparango family and also the DeLauders.
All right, waiting for it deep. 20 Sparango and 34 Brad DeLauder.
Would they be playing today?
No. They'll be
Okay.
playing Saturday, Frank.
Good.
Getting ready to boot it away for West is number 9, Mark Hartnett, who's been a dramatic kicker all year. With the wind, Hartnett sends it way back. And it goes out of the end zone, Frank, so the wind is immediately very much present, although Hartnett gave it a good ride. And the first play of the football game will go into action with East on offense, and let's see who trots out for East at the quarterback position. Ball will be at the 20, 1st and 10 to go. The tall 6'3", 170-pound Coverdale gets the opening call. Backfield 32, Jason Tate. Lone setback, motion Sparango, toss to Sparango, has a hole. Frank, and gets across the 20 to the 24-yard line. Let's see where they mark it, 24, 23. We'll call it 3 yards, Frank, on that size.
We might as well call out the defending stoppers right there, because you'll be hearing their name a lot. It was Darryl Garner and Jeff Livesey, both in on the tackle for a 4-yard gain, but that's a good start for a first down play, Marv.
All right, Frank, 2nd down, and we'll call it 7. Coverdale calls the signals, I formation. Tate and Sparango behind him, motion away Lockery. Toss to Sparango, and the workhorse back has short yardage. As moving in quickly for Central Bucks West was number 72, Frank.
Rob Lockery.
Is that Lockery? Because I had a different jersey number for him. It is Rob Lockery. Rob Lockery.
He has been the player to really come on strong for CB this year, and he made a real nice play. It was a kind of an inside-out trap, and he was able to play across the face of the trapper and grab the ankle, make it a 3rd down and about 6, Marv.
Big play here, Frank, because this hold here will give great field position to West. Let's see what happens early. Coverdale, counter, hands it off inside to Campbell, and Campbell gets nothing as the play was jammed. And Frank, a hard move off the corner for West by Darrell Garner, jammed that play, wouldn't let the counterman Campbell get outside, and West has got to kick it away.
Mike Brown, the tackle, number 76, pulled from right to left, threw a nice block in the tackle trap, but it still wasn't able to get it done.
So the center for Central Bucks East, Brian Hain, and back to boot it for East is number 4, Frank, Tom Lewis, a kicker. And maybe Tyler, this should be Tyler Tomlinson, Frank.
It's really gusting out there too, Marv.
Lewis has it. He gets the kick away, Frank, into the wind. That's about what you could expect. And the ball dies in the sod at the 48. So the ball will be at the 48-yard line, and the first series of the football game, Frank, finds Central Bucks West with marvelous field position as the wind and the first drive go together to put East in a tough situation. Let's see. East ends up with 58 on it. Nearest to this side. That's Hain. Let's see who else they have in there.
Well, West accomplished 2 things. They got that first hit out of their system, and they got great field position.
All right, that's Nolan with Wolf and Garner in the backfield. Toss to Garner. Garner coming outside, and he's brought down by Brian Hain, but the man who really made that penetration was the knifing tackle, Michael Brown of Central Bucks East.
I'll tell you, Michael Hain on the corner right there took on the opening block of Drew Wolf, who has been doing a tremendous job of that all year long. 58 is Brian Hain, and he stood up Wolf, played him off, and made a tackle in the backfield for a yard loss. Tremendous play with that defensive end.
Schilt the other tackle. Frisch on the defensive end. They're coming on the corner. And they shifted and pulled East offside. That was a shift, Frank, which yanked East offside unless they ruled the shift illegal. Let's see. As they shifted, and jumping across was Steve Schilt, number 78, the defensive tackle.
He's a player, too. He's a name you're going to have to hear a lot for East to win. West invariably throws a new wrinkle into the offense, Marv, for Thanksgiving Day, some kind of a turkey trick. And that obviously is one of the ones they used, a 4-man or 3-man shift like that.
Well, what happened, Frank, what it does is it turns a 1-yard loss into a 4-yard gain.
That's a good call.
Makes it 2nd and 6. Schilt, Maurer at the middle, Fritsch and Hain at the defensive ends. Linebackers, the other Maurer, and there they shifted again. East did not go offside. They're shifting to twins to the left, Frank. Nolan rolling, looking, has a man wide open. Cuthbert, he almost had it. The ball was overthrown, and Cuthbert had the opportunity, Frank, to take that. But I think East adjusted pretty well because that was it was a very tough position for them to be in.
That's a good observation, Marv. A number of times you'll see in high school people lining up and unbalanced or shifting to it, and the defenses fail to react, and that's not what happened right there. You saw the whole defensive front of the Patriots shift down to counterbalance West, and they did a good job of reacting.
Frank with 2 Maurers, Craig Maurer, the nose guard, and Brent Maurer, 54, the linebacker. Craig, 42. Nolan calls it. Wolf, lone setback. Wing, motion Garner. Now they're to trips on the left side. They're in flood. They're going to flood the left side. Pass to the backside, wide open. Taking the football, breakaway for the tackle. Down the sidelines for Central Bucks West is Jimmy Radigan, and he is knocked out of bounds, Frank, at the 1-yard line. He knocked out at the 1-yard line. They're ruling, but he hooked pretty close to a touchdown. And Frank, they came with a backside play, and Scott Campbell missed the tackle, and it was Gonville for Radigan. A tough break for Campbell because he had the play covered, but gone.
That's exactly what it was. He did a half sprint to his left, stopped, and it was a throwback look to his receiver on the right-hand side, and he was open. And not only was he open, but the ball wasn't even that good. He had to stop and turn around and get it. He didn't hit him in stride and still got down to inside the 1, Marv.
Ball at the 1-yard line. Give it off to Wolf, and he's in, Frank, for the touchdown. Frank, it's the 6-0 West lead. As a very opening of the ball game, West hits a big play on the throwback to the backside.
He got some real nice work from Jeff Woodruff, and if I'm not mistaken, it was David Weiss. Not to mention Darrell Garner in there. There was a 3-man wedge or 4-man wedge opening of the first quarter. CB is up 6-0.
Frank, there's a very, very important play for Hartnett will get ready to kick this point, and with a win, Frank, he should be able to kick this point just short of Telford. Holding is Nolan. Snap is high. Nolan gets it down. The kick is up. And the kick is good as he hit it through the right side. There was a good job by Nolan getting that snap down, Frank. So it is 7-0. Central Bucks West over Central Bucks East, Frank, with 8:44 to go in the first quarter. And Frank, it's an interesting situation because all year long, one of the things that has hurt Central Bucks East has been giving up pass plays for long yardage. But here, it's a throw to the backside where there was decent coverage and a missed tackle. And when you flood the left side, as West did, Frank, you're pulling essentially most of the secondary over there, and the backside man has got to be sure. But Wither East now, Frank, East is faced with the task of coming back. The wind in their face, tremendous wind. This kick should again sail to the end zone if Hartnett hits it well at all. And this now must be a mandate for East to come back offensively, or West will still have the same kind of field position. Though I thought, Frank, in the opening series, East certainly, to the extent we saw it, had pretty good defensive thinking.
Well, I think just the fact that they adjusted to that unbalanced shift is credit to their defensive scheme.
Well, it's 7-0 with 8:44 to play in the first quarter. Hartnett gets ready to hit it. Hartnett's kick will be returned. It is Sparango. Sparango at the 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Up to the 35-yard line, and Bart Sparango found good blocking, Frank, as they took it a right side return and had a decent wedge at about the 25, and he broke it up. So Bart Sparango puts East at the 30. Let's see the exact mark, Frank. 35-yard line, East 1st and 10. They've improved their starting position for the last drive by 15 yards. And that'll be big in the whole terms of field position. East shifting now to this side. High formation with a wing. Toss to Sparango. Has a hole, and he gets 4 as he comes off the left side. The hit made in there for Central Bucks West by Steve Chickalo, a junior defensive tackle, 6'3", 185-pounder. It'll be second down, Frank. We're going to call it 7 and move it to the 38.
The offensive line across the front for CB is Hone, Naughton, how do you say that name? Tazinski, Schilt, and Brown.
Sparango, they give it off inside to Jason Tate, and Tate with good blocking, Frank, on that side. Excellent block by Brian Hain, and an excellent block by Chris Naughton. And Jason Tate, lowering the shoulder, bangs his way up for about 5 or 6, Frank, and it is just shy of the first down at the 45. Jason Knight leading the play up through, 65 is the left guard. Big third down. Quick hitter inside and hammering for what may be the first down. I think it is, Frank. It is. A first down is the fullback Tate. You have Dean Behrens, 97. At an end, Brian Hain, the center. Chris Naughton, 56. And Jamie is a guard. Jamie Tasinski, 77, a tackle. And Michael Brown, a tackle. And Frank, look at the mud on the jerseys of those kids. And we said before the ball game, this middle area of this field is going to become a quagmire before this is over. But East at the 45-yard line and trying to get this touchdown back and make a very important part of this game is the West defense. The pride of the Gold and Black digs in, and the counter. This time to Lockery. He has running room, Frank, and an excellent, excellent block by Chris Naughton, who flattened the West defensive tackle, and good counter running. Classic wing T football. Picks up, Frank, a big 7.
That's right. That's a good call. Tysinski pulled from his position and aided on that block. Got him a great 8-yard, 7-yard gain.
Corey Bornman will find that Naughton will be at his face today, and that's one of those individual matchups we talked about. Power eye. They shift. Power eye right. Toss. Sparango. He is nailed in there on a great slanting move by Rob Lockery, who twice today, Frank, has penetrated, and he stops Sparango for just the shortest of gains, maybe half yard.
That's a good call, Marv. It's exactly what it was. It was a pinch by Lockery, and the linebacker filled the spot that Lockery left, and they had him fooled right there, stopped him for no gain.
Yeah, the blocking call, Frank, very important when those tackles come up and make that call. All right, a big third, Frank, 3rd and 3. Greg Coverdale with the football, puts it behind his hip, going to throw, has a man, just threw it a little bit to the right, Frank, as he had a man sprinting into the flat for him, and that looked like Craig Maurer. Sometimes, Frank, a little tough for us to tell the backside but I think that was Maurer, and it was Craig Maurer. So it is now 4th down, Frank, and they'll have to punt it away. And Tom Lewis gets ready to boot it, and last time against the wind, he did a better than decent job. West is not coming. Yes, they are coming, but he gets it away, and it's a good end-over-end kick. Nice roll on it, squids down below the 25, and it comes to rest at the 23, where it is down. And Frank, the good run back by Sparango and the first down certainly helped East to a much better field situation. And if they can neutralize West on this first down, it'll be interesting. But the West offense struck early and hard in making their play in this football game. And at this stage, this fine West offensive football team wants to put one more on the board and take complete charge. Wolf and Garner with Cuthbert. Cuthbert moves to the wing. Give it off to Wolf. Wolf straight ahead, and he is met after just a short pickup. Good defensive charge. Russo, the defensive end, knifing down, and Schultz, the defensive tackle, and Michael Brown making another good play.
Just a little fullback handoff to the near side here, and he sliced in for about a yard.
Ball rests at the 27-yard line. Frank going to call it 3rd and 8. 5:03 to play, and this is the first quarter. West leading 7-0. East in a 50 front. Classic 5-man defense. Let's see what we got here. Full house backfield. There's those shift to a lone setback, double wing. Nolan with it, passing formation. Nolan throws, has a man open in the middle, and it is number 81, Radigan again, as Radigan hooked up in that middle zone between the 3 West East defenders, and he's got the first down at the 36-yard line.
Well, I think what they're able to take advantage of right there is the atrocious footing right there. What happens when you got bad field position or bad field like that, all you have to do is have your linemen stand up, hit the defensive lineman one time because they can't get a start. No pressure on the quarterback, and it's easy for the receiver to get open.
Cuthbert the wing, Garner and Wolf. It's a draw to Wolf, to Garner rather, and nothing. Frank, it's interesting, but the East defensive line is doing an excellent job coming in and under, getting into the pads of the West offensive linemen and standing them up. And
they keep testing that left side, but Mike Brown and Mike Russo, and if I'm not mistaken, Scott Campbell are doing a good job of shutting them down over there.
Campbell coming from the corner on run support. So we got a 2nd and 9. Radigan wide to the lower part of your screen. Number 81, Radigan, whose great move earlier made it big. Wing is Cuthbert. Now he comes in motion. Back to throw goes Nolan. Nolan looking for Radigan to Cuthbert. Looking overthrown again. That's the same play they ran to the left side before, Frank.
Seems like Corey wants to feather that ball in there like a jump shot instead of throwing it like a dart.
Well, Frank, the interesting thing is that there again, Radigan this time ran upfield, took off upfield, ran posting on that, Frank. Perhaps later he'll pump fake and then drill it deep. That's open. Wing on this side. Mike Walters is the corner on this side, number 39, as West on 3rd and 9. Let's see what they do. Will it be draw? Back goes Nolan. Nolan looking for a man. Has him, and he slipped and fell, and the ball was overthrown anyway, Frank. But it was Radigan, was it not, on the far side? Number 81, Jimmy Radigan, and the ball just sailed. And the wind may be affecting Corey Nolan's perception of what he's got to do to throw it.
That seems that way. I think 4 passes, 3 have been overthrown, and now West gets a chance to punt.
This will be interesting, Frank, because the 2 return men for East, who will be DeLauder and Sparango, will have to gauge a wind-blown punt. And this will be a big kick if the foot is heavy. Cuthbert ready to boot it away, and you know he can boot it with the wind. Oh, he hits it end over end toward the sideline. That ball slithers to DeLauder, and DeLauder lets it go. Now he picks it up, gets a block from Sparango, cuts it back to the inside, and down he goes. But Frank, we're going to get a personal foul. We may have a clip here. Frank.
I didn't see anybody down in that area of the field. I can't imagine what that flag would be.
If he didn't grab his face mask, Frank, it's got to be that they're ruling that Sparango blocked from behind.
Or else maybe, geez, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. It's too early to call. All I can think is that it maybe made a fair catch. What is that, block below the waist?
Sure.
Yeah. Well, they don't need that. That's an understatement.
Yeah, that had to be when Sparango went to give him the block. That's what took place. And this, Frank, has just reversed everything they worked for in the first part of the quarter. And after a good hold, they're back jammed against the wall.
He kicked the ball from about the 35-yard line, and they're now on the 8.
Well, let's see what East can do, as adversity has hit them early and hard play by the West offense has hit them early. Coverdale running the option. Coverdale with a little room and then is tripped up as he crosses the 10-yard line to about the 12.
That's a good option play right there. They tried to option Lockery to tackle, and they did. His job at that point is to drill the quarterback, and he was faked out by Coverdale, made the effort to get the wing back instead of just taking the quarterback, and he turned it into a 5 or 6 yard gain.
Good 5-yard pickup there, Frank. I didn't see the man who made the tackle, but it was an alert play. I thought it was maybe the left linebacker, Frank Filling. Sparengo, the lone back. Now they shift. Frisch, the tight end, to that side. Now they're unbalanced. Frank to the right. Toss to Sparengo. He has a running room. Bobbles the football. It's loose and West will recover. Picked up by Cuthbert, who's driven out of bounds. Cuthbert is out of bounds at the 10-yard line, Frank. And there's a man down for East on the far side of the play. A toss to Bart Sparengo. He almost cut it to the outside, Frank. He hit, the ball pops loose, and West has tremendous early position here in the first quarter.
Randy Cuthbert picked up the ball. I didn't see who made the hit, but he got drilled. There's no question about that. CB West really played that well. They're all playing down the line defensively, laterally, and they came up from the corner. It was probably the cornerback, and that might have been, if I can venture a guess, it might have been Radigan or it could have been Garner. But regardless of that, Cuthbert picked up the ball and carried it down to inside the 10-yard line.
Man who was down is the tackler on the far side, Knipe of Central Bucks East. Jason Knipe, number 65, a junior guard. He was the man who was shaken up, Frank, on the far side. So the football with 2:25 to play in the first quarter rests at the 10-yard line of East. West in possession, motion Cuthbert, Corey Nolan with the signal, toss to Garner. Garner sweeping, and he is nailed, Frank. He is nailed as the backside, the linebacker read it and came through in the corner, rather. Walters read that perfectly.
Yes, he did. In addition to Walters, number 54, Brent Maurer, one of the leading tacklers for CB East.
Football resting at the 9-yard line, Frank. It'll be second, and Frank, I'm questioning something here. They may have marked the football inside the 10-yard line. This may be second and goal to go.
Yeah, there's no first down. The sticks are down.
Wolf and Cuthbert. Nolan rolling. Nolan looking. Has a man. Could run the football. Has a man wide open. Touchdown, West! Perfect selection by Nolan. Perfect selection to Cuthbert. He could have run that football, Frank. He delayed that extra second. Cuthbert making a little out, kind of parallel along the goal line, and he drilled it to him perfectly.
It seemed like he had the defensive back split between Cuthbert and Radigan, made a half of a pump fake to Radigan, who was the wide receiver further out to the left. When that defensive back committed to Radigan, he went and zinged it right in there to Cuthbert for a 13-0 lead.
Frank, that's the way they draw that play on the board. Done perfectly by Cuthbert and Nolan. Hartnett's kick is high and looks good. 14-0. The Bucks have taken an enormous early lead, Frank, and have surged the football game, perhaps irretrievably, in their favor. Now this East team, which has shown at times in this period that they want to play this game, Frank, but they've been hit early and hard, and it's 14-0.
Well, I think the two element factors of the field and the wind are really playing against them at this point. They did not get good punts off, and they haven't been getting good footing. And those two things, more than CB West, more than CB's defense, have really shut them down.
Well, the factor, Frank, of the penalty on the punt return, instead of having the football at the 20 or 21-yard line where they could operate and get it back, they had the football at the 10-yard line, and then they fumbled it away after getting some good yardage. They've opened some holes. They've done some things right here. It isn't the preparation. It isn't, in fact, almost the execution. It's the fact that the West offense has taken advantage of what they wanted to do in this football game, and the credit goes to the West offense in the passing game. They have not been able to run the ball effectively, but the passing game for West has been big potatoes. Ready to boot it away. Hartnett approaches the football. Hartnett's kick is short to the side. That's to DeLauder. He picks it up there. Right.
Now, why are they blowing the whistle like that?
I have no idea, Frank.
I don't know if the fans could hear it on the ambient mic, but the referee started to blow the whistle. Must have been inadvertently. He was probably wheezing as he was running up the field, but there was no reason for that whistle. I don't know if you could hear it. We could.
Frank, if that's an official who blew the whistle, I hope some fan doesn't have a whistle and blow it, because that drive you wacky. But the football was run back by DeLauder in the middle of all these whistles to about the 28-yard line. And that's where East will put it in play, trailing 14-0. West shifting into a tight gap situation. Coverdale back to throw, has a screen set up, it's good. Running the football, breaking it across the 40 and all the way to the 45-yard line, Frank. For Central Bucks East, and running that football was number 32, Jason Tate, as they set up a little middle screen. And now, Frank, down to Norm Stanley on the field.
Marvin, Frank, I just checked on the east side of the line. The Patriots' injured player on there was Chris Knight, but he's okay. Looked like he just had the breath knocked out of him, but he'll be back playing. So, so far, the injuries are not so bad. Back to you.
I just wanted to say Anthony Ventresca made the tackle, and it's nice to see Anthony back after a long injury.
No question, Frank. At East with a good play selection on a screen as West came hard. Motion Frisch. Coverdale running the football, rolling to the corner, can't break the corner, and good work on the defensive end on the outside, Frank. And the guy who did it for West was number 26, Bob Kilkenny.
And also Rob Lockery was out there. That's a perfect example of the fumble play. It was a long sweep to the right-hand side. They were able to play it off, go down the line of scrimmage, whereas a lot of high school guys want to run upfield and make the tackle in the backfield. If you can teach your guys to play down the line like a piano player, they used to call it, then you're going to be much better off. As you see, you play down the line like fingers in a glove. There's no place for the offensive ball carrier to go.
Procedure call, Frank, against Central Bucks East has declined as West stopped that play for a 1-yard gain, and it'll be 2nd and 9, the football at the 46-yard line. That's the best field position that Central Bucks East has had.
I just want to say hello and thanks to Joe Ferry for putting the press box together for all the media, pseudo-media types up here.
2nd and 9 on the wing. Motion this way.
That's a great play.
Oh, Frank, Rob Lockery blew over the block of Knight and just killed the wing-back counter.
Well, we talked about it before. Rob Lockery was in a pinch. When you're in a pinch, as what I'm saying is he's lined up head up on the tackle. He pinches down to the hip of the guard. If that guard is pulling, you get in that guard's hip pocket. He will take you right to the ball, and he did. Tackle in the backfield for a tremendous hit and an exciting play for Rob Lockery.
What are you doing for Thanksgiving now? Seeing your parents?
The other Rob Lockery, 27 of East, is wide to the lower part of your screen. Passing situation, Coverdale back, fires to the near sideline as East went for about a 2-yard pass intended for Frisch, Frank, and that's a low percentage pass. And the quarter has come to an end, Frank, with that play. And the score at the end of the first quarter, Central Bucks West, the Air Petton, 14, Central Bucks East, nothing. Formation, gets a high snap at his 30, but has time, kicks an end-over-end, twisting kick, bounding, Frank, and that's a good break for Central Bucks East as it comes to roll dead at the 19-yard line of West.
Well, I think a coaching point that they could adjust to at this point is they're going to have to put a couple of guys closer to the line of scrimmage on their punt return team. CB West does, because he's only been kicking the ball about 15 yards in the air and getting about 10 to 15 yards on a roll.
Well, Frank, the football at the 19, and that's the deepest start West has had so far. That's the furthest point. Let's see if the West offense, which has gone through the air today, an opportunistic West football team. They shift to the eye with Wolf the up back and Garner the deep back. Give it off. Quick hitter inside the Wolf, and Wolf hammers his way to the 27-yard line, Frank, on that little quick trap up the middle.
It was a nice block by number 54, Jeff Woodruff. It was an interesting play. If you look at it from up here, it almost was an illegal play because he was so far in the backfield. He was playing as a lineman, and he wanted to set himself up at a good angle, got way off the line of scrimmage, and watch for that. And look at the right side of the line, how far spread out they are. That's interesting.
They give it off to Wolf again. Then Wolf gets a couple, Frank, as the East defense reacted to it. Jeff Bernhard, 41, at the bottom of the pile, and Brent Maurer coming over to assist.
One of the things that Mike
But
Pettin,
it is a first down, Frank, as he's crossed the 30-yard line and just reached it. It's at the 30.
one of the things Mike Pettin or any good coach is very concerned with is the size of the offensive line splits. Frequently, it will tell you where the ball is going to go. It's an intricate science, and we can't go into it further, but watch the line splits, and it might tell you something.
Motion Cuthbert. They give it to Cuthbert, the wing, coming around. Cuthbert looking for room and recognizing it was Paulus, and Paulus met the play. And there's some of the fans a little upset as Bernhard came across, but Cuthbert was still moving.
That's a clean hit. As a matter of fact, that's the kind of hit you got to throw. When that guy's still up and he's struggling for that extra yard, that's when you stick your hat in there, put it on the point of the ball, and you get a fumble.
Yeah, I think, Frank, those persons who come up and kiss the runner will not be defensive players long.
That's right.
Football, Frank, is second down. We're going to call it 7. Ball resting at the 33. Corey Nolan with Wolf. Cuthbert motions to an eye. To Cuthbert, has a hole, breaks through and bangs his way, Frank, to the 40. And that should be very close if it is not, in fact, a first down as Randy Cuthbert behind good blocking coming out of the tailback slot in the eye, brings it to the 40.
He was brought down by Campbell, and there was a real nice block on the play by Weiss and Darrell Garner to make it happen for him.
So, Frank, that the other part of the West offense, which had hitherto not been present, has asserted itself as well you might have thought they would, because with the ball at the 19, Mike Pettin shifts into ground mode, and up the field they move. And I don't think, Frank, you can say that the East defense is not making the effort. It isn't like they've packed it up, Frank, and decided the game is over. But they're just getting excellent blocking at this point from the West front.
Where's Catherine?
Norm Stanley,
Introduce the captain.
down on the field, has a report for us. Norman.
Hi there. I got Catherine Odian and Michelle Doherty, who are the captains of the Bucks cheerleading. They'll be participating in a big cheerleading contest in New Jersey on the 13th. Girls, what do you think about this game so far?
Oh, it's great. I love the score.
You think you're going to win?
Yeah!
Well, back, Frank, from the enthusiasm of those lovely ladies, Beauties and the Beast. A quick smack up the middle. Gets about 3 more, Frank, and that picks up, well, gets about actually a yard and a half and gets the first down as it was short from the previous play. And they just took it and went straight power off the left side.
Yeah, it was just a power to Drew Wolf for a fullback lead, and Jim Fowkes, number 66, wasn't fooled. He made a nice tackle straight on the line of scrimmage. Real nice play by 66.
Some good individual efforts being made by the East defense, man-to-man. 50 front, corners up close. Back to throw Nolan, may have somebody looking. Throws it into the middle, almost intercepted, Frank, as it was off the hands of Darrell Garner, and then the left linebacker.
I believe it was Maurer.
I think it was Brent Maurer.
I'll tell you, those Maurers are something. They were, the two of them were the leading tacklers for CB East. You take those two guys out of the CB East defense, and they've lost about 140 tackles between them or something like that. They're
Frank,
just incredible
Brent and Craig.
grapplers.
That was Brent Maurer almost intercepting, so we got a second down, Frank, and 10. Football at the 41-yard line in the mud. Cuthbert, high shift. Counter to Wolf, and he is jammed, Frank. He is hit, and it is Maurer. It is, Frank, it is Craig Maurer, number 42, the nose, who moved. He actually slid left, Frank. He was coming off the right shoulder of the center, recognized the counter, and drove back across his face. Great play.
Well, it's a good thing he made that play because according to my estimation, the block was made. The next block was made, and he had some room to run. 3rd and 11, Marv.
3rd down 11. Let's see what West comes up with. Nolan, lone setback. Draw, Frank, is what they came with, but it was recognized, and coming in to finish it off was Brent Maurer, but it was Craig Maurer again in the middle who stood up the West center.
That's right. Well, Maurer made the tackle, but I beg to differ because Steve Schilt happened to be the fellow right in the middle who could determine that the lineman was just trying to let him take a side and run a draw.
You're right, Frank, and that's a credit to Schilt, who's a big presence.
That's right. He held him, he played him square up and was able to let the linebackers make the hit. As a matter of fact, he made the tackle by proxy because Wolf ran right into him.
Frank, kick into the wind, and you see the effect that the wind has in the field. It dies at the 36-yard line.
I know some people that like to use their 9-iron that good.
Well, when you saw Kathy Odeon, the cheerleader for West, her father, Tom Odeon, has a 9-iron that reacts exactly like that, Frank. So the football rests at the 37-yard line. Easton possession, 7:45 to go in the first half, with West leading 14-0. And the West defense, which has permitted nothing today of substance, gets ready again. Splitbacks, Coverdale, back to throw, looking to open it up. Has a man, but the ball is just outside Sparengo at the 42. And Frank, I think some of it is footing. It's hard for the receiver to get turned around.
That's right. Seems like every pass has just been about a yard too far.
Frank, it's a good pattern, though, because they came, Frank, with a split-back kind of offense. Right. And the Sparengo, the tailback, running just a little drag into that near side, was open. Just rolling from the backfield. Let's see what they do now, Frank. Scott's Rob Lockery, Sparengo on the wing. Lockery to the top of your screen. Motion this way, and back to throws. Coverdale running the option, has some room, and he fights his way to about the 39-yard line, Frank. So he'll pick up, we'll say, of about 2.
That's been a successful play for him so far, the option that way. Daryl Garner getting up limping, and he, Lord knows he's got enough injuries. He could be hurt anywhere.
Backfield for Central Bucks East is Greg Coverdale, the junior at quarterback. Bart Sparengo, number 20, is senior tailback. Jason Tate, a junior fullback. Scott Campbell, number 30, is the wing. And the wideouts have been Rob Lockery, not to be confused with the defensive tackle Lockery. Campbell on the wing, Sparengo, and Campbell there. Coverdale faking, looking to throw, being rushed, fires the football, just a little 1-yard toss, Frank. And the football is caught by Dean Behrens. Frank, it's a tough thing for me to figure that kind of a play, throwing the ball 3 yards into the sideline, will result in anything but 4th down if it's good, and it was good.
Well,
he may have had coverage downfield.
That may be the difference between Clark Polis and Coverdale. Maybe Clark with a little more experience is cognizant of that, and Coverdale's not. I don't know.
It's also been a backside coverage, but now Lewis gets the chance to kick with the wind, Frank. Cuthbert will be deep for West. Oh, the snap's way back, but he gets it away. West didn't have a lot of pressure on. He gets a great kick out of it. Kicks it out at about the 17. Frank Lewis has made Tommy Lewis has made 2 really tremendous plays. The snap, first one was high, got it away to the middle, and the second one has been just an excellent play there.
It was a 47-yard punt, was what I was trying to semaphore to you, Marv.
Football now, Frank, rests at the 16-yard line, 14-0. The Bucks in the lead over the Patriots and bidding for the state championship at 6:35 to play in the first half. Defense for East is Ted Frisch, 88, Steve Schultz, 77. Let's see what happens here. We'll call the rest of it on the next play as Corey Nolan with Drew Wolf, the lone back. Now motion Cuthbert to the far side, Frank. Give it off to Wolf. Wolf driving, and Bernhard. Jeff Bernhard, number 41, the left linebacker and co-captain of the East, really rocked him.
He is a little fire plug, came up from linebacker, met him at the 18-yard line, took him back to the 17.
Craig Maurer, the nose guard, is number 42. Jeff Bernhard and Brent Maurer, 54, the linebackers. Mike Brown and Big Mike Russo at the other defensive end, and sometimes Brian Hain as they alternate. Hain in there right now. Paulus the safety. Let's see now. Motion away, Cuthbert. Nolan gives it on the counter, Frank, and it wasn't there again as Maurer, the nose, and Schultz, the defensive tackle, crushed it.
As the same play. If you're watching the game, what I want you to do is pay attention to the split between the left guard and the center. Frequently, it's about a yard or even more. I think that is a real good indicator that that's where they're trying to run the ball. I think Maurer figured that out also. He was able to come across the line of scrimmage, follow the blocks of the down linemen, and make the play in the backfield.
Maurer's play thus far, Frank, number 42, Craig Maurer, and of course his brother Brent, but Craig Maurer especially has been sensational thus far. 3rd down, Frank, and 11, and a big play for both teams. Draw. Garner, he's crushed in the backfield, Frank. Met and crushed in the backfield. Brian Hain, the defensive end, was not fooled at all. What happened, though, was the draw hole was closed by Schulman and Craig Maurer, and Hain was at home and made the tackle.
Now you're finally going to get some kind of something out of Central Bucks East has a chance here. I need to take this time while there's a player down to make this mention right here. A very integral yet unsung part of both of these football teams are the manager. I'd like to give him some verbal mention. Carl Muck, Bob Eli, Chris McDermott, Stephanie Rios do a great job for West. I know they do. I've seen them up there. And I imagine that the Central Bucks East managers, who are Chris Dare, Karen Scarborough, Kim Ashoff, Del Morris, and Mary Coverdale, are doing just as good a job.
Frank, we're trying to see who the injured player is for West.
Well, let's give them congratulations, because, Lord, they know it. Unsung heroes.
Dr. Burmeister out there, we always say this, but the old hard caller has been one of the most devoted men to high school athletics that you could ask for. I think, Frank, trying to figure who this may be. Frank, it looks like an ankle injury.
Today's game is made possible by the support of the Suburban Business Sports Team, and it's their advertising which allows you to watch local sports on television. So when you're in their store or on the phone talking to them, please let these businesses know that you appreciate their efforts. And don't forget, as you're watching this game, waiting for the turkey to be done, VHS copies of today's game and all other Home-Vue events are available from Home-Vue Cable TV. And you can call 345-5151 and ask for the Master Blaster, Jim Bunn.
Frank, I've noticed something else. I think that may be Darrell Garner who's down. And they're taking him off the field, not under his own power. And we hope Darrell will return to this football game, and he's not hurt seriously.
He is short in stature, but big in heart.
Dangerous runner. Frank, I've noticed a lot of things here. One of the interesting things is that Coach Kalpin of Central Bucks East has played a series of different players in this football game. He has changed, kept people coming in and out of the ball game a little bit, and that may be helpful in the long run. But the loss of Garner right now, Frank, will hamper somewhat the West offense, because Garner has been an integral part of it, and he represents a dangerous threat. Norm Stanley, we'll go to Norm in 1 second down on the field.
Injured player is number 40, Darrell Garner. The injured player, number 40, Darrell Garner, they thought it might be just a leg cramp. I'll check it out and be back with you. Back to you.
Kick against the wind. A fair catch signaled for, and then fallen on by Paulus at the 35-yard line. So this, Frank, represents really the best chance East has had today. And when West had the chance following the fumble, they capitalized on it. They did what they had to do. They took their money, Frank. They made the 7-point withdrawal. This probably, Frank, may be one of the, if you say games have turning points, and who knows how many those are, this could be one if they can drive. And the West defense now digs in to say nobody drives. Sparango, motion, give it off quickly to Tate. Tate breaks it to the outside. Jason Tate hammers for 10 yards. Fumbles the football. The ball goes out of bounds. It's East football.
And it was still live as the ball was on the ground. It looked like the ball was bounced out of bounds, but he put it on the ground, inbounds, lost 2 or 3 yards after he was tackled. Isn't that an odd play?
Frank, Jason Tate ran that ball. He can move when he gets to the outside, but look at the mud, which is a testing. This field is much wetter than we thought it was.
That's right.
Looks like last year when we had a mud bowl here.
That's right.
It's a shame that it rained last night. But that's, at this point, the football, Frank, rests at the 26-yard line. It'll be 2nd and 2. Give it off quickly to Bernhard, and Bernhard with a quick hit dove. Frank trying to get that first down as the little tank rammed up inside. Good effort by Rob Lockery, 72 of West, the tackle. And he's shy about a foot, Frank. 4:20 to play in the first half, and East with the football at the 24-yard line of West. As West puts Steve Wasson in, a junior, to fill the gap against the short yardage play. Let's see what the selection is from a full house backfield. Jason Tate. Tate has it back, and he has the first down. But Frank, the blocking on the left side of the East line on that play was excellent.
It was a real nice block, and it's hard to say because you can't see their numbers. But the guys I see getting up are Sparango, and I got to give credit to also one other fella, and bear with me, and I'll tell you who it was.
77?
No, it was Teddy Frisch, were the two fellas that I could see. I'm sure there were more people involved.
I think Tazinski was lined up next to him. Split backs. Coverdale back to throw. Has the football, and it is thrown behind. So it'll be 2nd and 10, Frank, with stopping the clock with 3:45 to play.
Consistently, they've been able to run the ball good enough to win the game, but they have not been able to connect on any passes, and that is the difference. That's why East's offense is just not getting it done at this point.
Second down, football resting at the 24-yard line, Frank. 2nd and 10. Coverdale, lone setback Tate. Coverdale back to throw again. Has the screen, has his man Tate, and Tate is hit. Frank is recognizing the screen and picking it up for Central Bucks West was Jeff Livesey.
Boy, they almost busted loose on that, didn't they?
But Livesey made a great play, Frank. He read it just in time and cut it, and the screen call, however, does get about 3 or 4. We'll call it 4. It's 3rd and 6.
A coaching point on
the 19.
I think a coaching point on that could have been, had they East turned an offensive lineman back, facing the quarterback to pick off anybody pursuing the play from behind, they might have had more room to run.
Probably intended to be that way, Frank, but it wasn't done in credit to Livesey. Coverdale back to throw. Coverdale rolling under pressure, throws the football, and it's complete, Frank, on a great catch. On an excellent catch. Frank, that looks like number 27, Rob Lockery of East. There are 2 Rob Lockerys in the football game because he hooked perfectly, Frank. A perfect hook pattern, and Coverdale put it on the money.
Well, there were 3 hands on that ball, but possession is 9/10 of reception, and it's going to be a first down, almost goal to go. No, they can get a first down. It's on the 11. Tremendous catch, great pass, first one of the day, and maybe it'll be impetus for them to get going.
Teddy Fritsch checks in at tight end, and Dean Behrens checks out as they put bigger size up on that front and come full house. Motion away Sparango, toss to Sparango, follows the lead block, but down comes Radigan to shut it off as he gets, well, let's give him 2, Frank. Radigan's alert play.
The brothers of 2 former great CB West players, Jim Radigan and Bob Kilkenny, were the players, and they were able to make the stop, and I'm sure their brothers are somewhere on the sideline applauding them.
Kilkenny has read very well, Frank, in run support today, but we got 2:14 and the clock is running. Football is at the 9-yard line. 2nd and 8 for the Patriots. Tate and Sparango in the eye behind Greg Coverdale, faking. Coverdale looking to throw, fires the football, and he throws the ball, Frank. He threw it away, and I think wisely, because West had coverage everywhere I saw.
Rob Lockery putting the pressure on him to make him hurry to throw. I think if he had been able to wait another split count, he might have got his receiver open, but 72 was bearing down on him. He had to throw the ball early. Mike Carey making some last-minute defensive adjustments from his sideline position.
Coverdale did a good job, Frank, getting away from pressure to make the throw and not take that loss. 9-yard line, Frank. 1:55 to play in the first half. West leading 14-0 in a critical situation for both football teams. West coming with a split front to the backside. Coverdale has time. Oh, Frank, it's interference. It's clearly pass interference, and it is. And it was on Lockery. He was knocked down at the goal line, Frank. And that will give East a big break, Frank, at this point. Well, it's a break in the sense that, yes, it gives them relief from a 3rd and tough situation, but it's a part of the football game.
Well, CB East just smothered them and before the ball got there, and it was an obvious call. Great luck and field position now for CB East.
Marching it at the 9. Ball marches down, Frank, to the 4-yard line. And a half the distance penalty, Frank. Moves it to the 4-yard line.
But it's still
first down. It's automatic first, Frank.
Yeah.
That's the big thing in it. So they now have first down at the 4-yard line. 1:54 to play. 14-0. And I think we may and do have a timeout, Frank, as coaches Pettin and Calpin march toward their individual teams.
While we got a minute here, I'd like to give some more credit to some people who don't get all the credit. Underneath John Calpin, he has a tremendous staff. They're led by Chris Rittenhouse, John Marmer, Paul Gale, Chuck Cotman, Greg LaGreca, Dave DiRoberto, and also Coach Barringer. John Calpin is as I said, the head man, and Larry Green. CB West's coaching staff, probably none finer, led by Adam Skelding, Coach Webbers, Huntsberger, Mike Carey, Frank Naylor, and Moretta, Steve Telford, Bon Giovanni, and my friend Steve Mangle.
Frank, let's get down to Norm Stanley with another sideline report.
I just checked the sidelines to check up on Daryl Garner, the injured player for the Bucks. The doctor said that they should take him in for the halftime. He's in the dressing room now, and they're checking that leg. He says it's cramps. The doctor says he wants to look at it. I'll be back with you later.
Thanks, Norm, for that interesting report on Darrell Garner, who means a great deal to the CBS West offense. But right now, the test is of the CB West defense because they're muscled back to the 4-yard line. And, Frank, this is where all year long they have been very tough in the critical situation.
Well, you see the fans ringed around that end of the field, kind of like an amphitheater, about 10 deep, and they're getting a good bird's-eye view of the first down and goal from about the 5.
They'll have Jason Tate lined up behind junior Greg Coverdale. Motions Ted Fritsch inside with Sparengo, the outside back. Motion Campbell. Give it to Campbell. Big hole. Campbell is in. Campbell is in. Well, let's see, Frank. I thought he was in. They're going to rule him down at about the foot line. Frank, that was an excellent lead block by Jason Tate, and good blocking. Frank produced a hole by the up front people.
Also, Tyzinski threw a real nice block. They thought they were in. It's going to be inside the 1.
Frank, the ball's a foot away from that goal line with 1:30 to play, and this is a very big play.
No, they won't.
Tate, Bernhard, and Campbell, they have the bull backfield. Coverdale gives it to Tate. He drives. He is in for the touchdown. He is in for the touchdown. And the Central Bucks East fans, for the first time today, Frank, have something really to cheer about, as East, taking advantage, Frank, has moved the football for a score, and an excellent block by the center, Brian Hain, and Chris Naughton, the left guard. Another one of the football Naughtons, son of Tug and Gorgeous Naughton.
Well, that was a real nice aerial by the running back right there. The object of that, at that point as an offensive lineman, is to dig at the other guy's knees so that he can't get any height to stop the ball from going over the top. That's exactly what they accomplished. First touchdown for CB. They got 6. West has 14.
Frank, an interesting thing, Jason Tate is the brother of John Tate, who played, was a co-captain here, I think it's 3 years ago in this very football game.
I think what's more important is not that they scored, but when they scored. We're down under 2 minutes left in the half, and there is no telling how much of an emotional uplift this is going to give them.
Frank, you have to give East some credit because they could have folded in the first
quarter. You got that
quarter.
right, and it looked like CB West put 2 touchdowns on the board early, and it's being redundant, but it would have been real easy for them to fold their tent, but they didn't, and they came back, and it's going to be 6-14. There you see a fella who wishes he could be out there, standing next to his brother, if I'm not mistaken. That's Chris Baggett, and next to him is Matt Baggett.
Well, Frank, here's something interesting. Let's see what they're doing here. Are they putting a T down here, or are they going for 2? I think they're going for 2. They are.
Well, apparently they don't have a lot of confidence in their kicking game, and they feel that they'd have a hard time scoring more than 2 touchdowns. And in order to win, they got to score at least 2. So we'll see what happens, Marv.
Well, on the wing is Scott Campbell. Coverdale going to throw. Coverdale looking.
He's got him.
The football. It's 2 points, Frank. Who caught it? It's an excellent throw. Just a great throw by Coverdale. I think it was Sparengo. From the size of them in the mud, I think it is. It's Bart Sparengo. Frank, you know, sometimes they say John Calpin is a very low-key conservative man. He is a superb classroom teacher, a heck of a guy whose history as a coach coming from junior high and continuing forward with this program is one of the most remarkable in this part of the state. But he put a tremendous gamble up and sticks 8 points. And Frank, what does that do now to East's thinking as it approaches the second half? And what does it now do to Mike Pettine, who has to rally the West team and say, look, guys, you know, this game is not over with on 14 points?
Well, that's a rhetorical question, and it will be an interesting second half to find out the answer to it.
Well, Frank, plenty of time yet for a lot to happen, though, because they're lining up to boot it off, and the wind with them, and there's still 1 minute and 18 seconds. Frank, a nifty throw by Greg Coverdale. He really whistled the football, and Sparengo made a nice move. It was like that's also like they draw.
He seemed to have got his rhythm.
2-point play practice was paid off.
That's right.
Getting ready to boot it away. And kicking off for Central Bucks East is number 85, Steve Dara. And he hits it with the wind, but it's one of those high, short kicks. Taken up in the near field, Frank, and hit and down for West is number 24, J.J. Kelso, who got it back to the 35-yard line. Football will be at the 36-yard line for West. And now, Frank, I don't look for West to go into the grind it out, close the half off. I think Mike Pettine's going to try to get someplace for some points. As Nolan returns to the field. Check the east front. Hain and Frisch, the defensive ends. Craig Maurer, the middle guard, with Big Steve Schilt and Mike Brown, the front. Brent Maurer, Jeff Bernhard, Nolan draw to Wolf, and Wolf is met, and down he goes. And the guy who nailed him was Schilt once again, as Schilt read the draw. Frankie went down to one knee and then came up. He slipped and came up. Good play by Schilt.
That's about going to end the half. We'll have probably one more play.
Frank, I would have to say on balance that the East front people in this first half have dominated the line of scrimmage against the running game. See what happens now. 50 front, motion Cuthbert, give it to Cuthbert on the sweep, block from Wolf. Cuthbert is hit and pulled down Frank from the backside as East strung it out. Schilt trailing made the play, but the East defensive end, Hain, refused to go down. So it'll make it a 3rd and 11, Frank. 7 seconds. That was probably, and that is going to be, the last play of a great first half of football. An interesting first half, and the Bucks, #1 in the state, still leading 14-8. But we do have a football game. We do not have a blowout, and that, from an entertainment standpoint, is terrific. And Frank, before we go away for the half, I want to salute Jane Potter Tomlinson, who just recently, the coach of the wife of the CB West East wrestling coach, John Tomlinson, who recently gave birth, and having done that, is at the game, Frank, a mark of the intensity of the fans. 14-8, West in control at the half, but the game very much up in the air. Here to give you the halftime, and you see part of the marvelous spectacle of the Central Bucks East High School Band on the field to entertain. And Frank, a 14-8 football game at the half, a game in which West has struck early with a great pass play to the backside to Radigan. They recovered a fumble and put it right in. They did what they had to do. And then, Frank, how do you analyze, really, if you take away those plays, the East come back and what West has really done?
Well, I think the analysis can be broken down to 2 words, field position. CB West had good field position twice. Once they took advantage of a long pass to get down in there, and once they had the ball in about the 10-yard line. CB East did the same thing. They had the ball in about the 35-yard line or so, took advantage of that good field position and knocked it in. I think that the proof of the pudding is going to be field position in the second half. West starts it with the ball. We'll see how they do.
Norm Stanley, who is that with you? Is that 13?
Matt Baggett, who is the captain and the quarterback for the Bucks. Matt was injured earlier in the season, and I just wanted to find out what the status of that injury is, Matt.
The doctor said it's healing fine, and I'm in this cast till December 10th, and then I get out of it then, and I start rehab.
Start rehab December 10th. What are your future prospects?
I'm not sure. I'm definitely playing football in college. I haven't made a decision to where I'm going yet, but I'm playing.
Have you had any inquiries from other teams outside?
Somewhat, yes, but not all.
Haven't made a choice yet. How does it feel to be standing out here on the sideline? I know it's a tough game, a tough day. It can't feel too good, but you've done a good job for the 4 years that you've been at West. Awfully tough standing here, I'll bet.
Definitely tough, but I'm getting used to it now. But as long as we win, I'll be okay.
Well, Matt, I know you want to get back in there with your team. Thanks for stopping by. It was good seeing you, and good luck to you in the future.
Thank you.
Back to you.
Well, up here at the halftime, as you see the Central Bucks East band perform, you see part of this great crowd, and this crowd is an excellent crowd. Their seats are packed on all sides of the field, huge numbers of people standing here. We are looking at probably what is one of the real Thanksgiving Day spectacles in the Delaware Valley, and all eyes in the past years have always been on this football game. And right now, the score is Central Bucks West 14 and Central Bucks East 8, and then Frank Case left to take a break here at the halftime. Ask me to say, and I will say it on behalf of Frank, that one of the things he has observed, which is certainly something I think everybody up here in the press box is, that West, with 2 big opportunities, took advantage of them, but in the first half they have not manufactured against the East defense any sort of sustained offense at all, and the East frontline people have been the more aggressive. And Frank, the first half, in the first half summary, you see Drew Wolf, who scored the touchdown on a 1-yard smack, but that was preceded by a big play to Radigan, a big pass play, and then Randy Cuthbert making an excellent cut and a perfect pass from Nolan. But for CB East coming back, opportunistic as well. Jason Tate, the short slam for it for the touchdown, but then Sparango on a great play, a great 2-point conversion, gutsy call to make it 14-8. And so at the half, when a football game which we might have gone south on us early in the first quarter, we're looking to a great second half. But don't you think for a minute that this West team, under tutelage from the greatest jockey, Coach Pettin, at the half, will not get their marching orders. On the other hand, in the East locker room, you've got to believe that they understand that they can win this football game. And if they go out and take the ball game in the second half, that will be a major victory, of course. So two teams, one poised to spring what would for them be a tremendous, tremendous effort, and for the other poised to defend what they legitimately feel is their preeminence as number one. A classic, marvelous, great second half coming up, and all of this will be brought to you by Conduit Institute of Technology for the training you need for a modern age. Marvin Walenzik here at James Work Memorial Stadium in the home of the Delaware Valley Fighting Aggies of Coach Al Wilson. And with me, Frank Case, ready to begin the climactic half. And down below us, Norm Stanley. And Norm with an injury report going into the second half.
I'm standing here with Dr. Burmeister, who's the team physician for the Central Bucks West Bucks, and I wanted to get an update on Daryl Garner's condition for the second half. Dr. Burmeister?
Daryl Garner has a sprain and contusion of the ankle and contused thigh, but he will play.
He'll play. That's how about the injuries here with this type of field, Dr. Burmeister? It's awfully mushy out there. It seems like that there should have been maybe more injuries of that type, but we haven't had them so far.
Well, it's certainly softer to fall upon, but it predisposes the injuries since it interferes with the player's ability to cut and make their moves. And I think a lot of it has to do with the conditioning and the coaching on both schools.
Well, that's something to say. I appreciate you stopping by, and it's good to see that Daryl will be back in the second half. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Frank Case, what about that first half? It wasn't exactly an offensive barrage, but there was more scoring than you might have expected. Wait a minute, we're getting ready for the kickoff. We'll be right back to you, Frank. Getting ready to boot it away is Steve Dara of East, and East has selected the wind for this, the third quarter. West, having deferred, elects to receive, and taking the football deep, it looks like Cuthbert. He's at the 20. Frank, and he is brought down. Cuthbert hit down at the 25-yard line, and Frank, there was almost no wedge.
Well, I think they lost their relationship. You got to maintain about 4 or 5 yards between the wedge and the running back, and when you get further away than that, then they make their blocks, and the defenders just get back up and make the tackle. To answer your question, just to reiterate one time, the difference in the first half was field position. West had good field position twice. East only had it once. 2 touchdowns to 1.
All right, Frank, let's see. Is West with Garner back in the lineup, 40. They give it off to Wolf. Wolf straight ahead, and Frank submarining under the play is big Steve Schilt.
Well, they keep trying to trap him, and what he has been able to do is play across the face of the trapper, close that hole down, and make the tackle himself for a short gain.
Frank, at this point, the football is 2nd and 9, ball resting at the 26-yard line. And Frank, an interesting election by East. Unless they have a weatherman's report, they have elected the wind in the third quarter. They'll be against it in the fourth. Nolan fumbles the football, Frank, and he's going to be brought down for a loss. He picked it up, and crushing him was Brown as Nolan fumbled the ball. Corey Nolan. Frank, football is at the 22-yard line as West was going to go quick toss outside, Frank. So it's a 3rd and We'll call it.
I think that's exactly what happened, was that they were trying to get outside. By hurrying to play like that, he put the ball on the ground, makes it a tough 3rd and 14 play for West.
The Lauder in the secondary, replacing Dave Porter, and Nolan going to throw. Gets some pressure, throws screen, and nobody's there. Nobody is there, Frank. It was an excellent call because East was coming well out into the backfield. It was right there, big gainer.
The problem here is this. When your offensive linemen know they're going to screen, they want to get off that defensive lineman, get down the field and make a killer block. But they have to hold their initial block for a count of 2 seconds. They didn't do that, only held it for about 1 second, and the defensive lineman were on him too fast. He couldn't see where his receiver was.
Cuthbert will be ready to boot it, and DeLauder and Sparango standing at about their own 44-yard line. Into the wind goes Cuthbert, and he gets a pretty good kick away into the wind, and it'll die at the 49-yard line, where West covers the football.
Well, it was
West
a wise
covers the
choice.
football.
Apparently, at this point, it was a wise choice. They elected to take the wind in the 3rd quarter. I guess they figured they had to come out and get some points on the board before the 4th quarter, take advantage of the emotional charge I'm sure they used to the best of their advantage at halftime and carried into the 2nd half for CB East.
Well, that election having been made, Frank, they now have the field position. The question is, will the West defense permit it? Will the East offense be able to do it? Red Coverdale, Jason Tate and Sparango. Give it to Sparango. Good lead block by Tate. And Sparango slips off a tackle by Rob Lockery and gets some short yardage, Frank. We'll give him 3. Give Sparango 3, move the football to the 46-yard line. Sets up a 2nd down and 7 with 9:45 to play in the 3rd quarter, and the Bucks of Central Bucks West leading 14-8.
Just to get it straight, Marv, it is probably closer to 9. They moved the ball back from initial spot.
All right, Frank. 2nd and 9. Tate the lone set. Sparango motion. Toss to Sparango. Great block. Tate gives him another block. Sparango motoring to the outside. He's on his feet. Sparango's in the open. That's Sparango. He's at the 10, the 5. Touchdown! Frank, a 45-yard run. And Frank, the block of Jason Tate and the block preceding it. Frank, with the blocking, opened it up, and Bart Sparango, who can run, has tied the football game. And Frank, it is a remarkable play because they blew away the West defense, and I haven't seen that done all year.
That's right. West is renowned for keeping good relationships with the ball carrier, and that they're going to keep an angle on the ball carrier. And what happened is Jason Tate surprised them with his deceptive speed. He was able to outrace the entire West defense, banging into the end zone, 14-all, and now they're going for the leading point.
Holding will be Coverdale. Kicking for East will be Dara. Snap is down. The kick is in the air. The kick is good. And East leads West 15-14. 9:23 to play in the 3rd quarter, Frank. As Central Bucks East, it was Bart Sparango, 46 yards with the block of Tate on the linebacker. But Frank, who was the blocker that threw the block at the line of scrimmage to open that?
All right, I think, and I'm not sure, so please forgive me if I'm wrong.
There's one time I wish we had replay, Frank. Not Bart didn't run it well, but to show 2 absolutely excellent blocks.
I'm going to call it that it was probably on Naughton, and it was probably against Drew Wolf because he was playing the right corner right there. What happened was, in all honesty, the first block was not that essential because the defender got upfield. We talked about playing laterally. He got upfield 2 or 3 yards and virtually took himself out of the play. The key block was made by Jason Tate on number 81, Radigan, and then the real key was the speed of the running back to get into the end zone.
Sparango, and also keeping his balance at about the 25, Frank, when they tried to trip him. Kick is to Cuthbert. Cuthbert at the 10, 15, 20. Now he has the wedge, but they meet him and drive him back, Frank. They meet him and stop him. And is there a collision between the wedge and the wedge breakers? And Frank, the level of play, of course, East having gone ahead, they're juiced up. But Frank, at this point, Central Bucks West has been behind before, and they have never failed this year to come back and turn the tables.
That's true.
The Chamonix, they were down with only, 5 or 6 minutes. So this football game is a long way from over.
I thought about this before the game, and I think that whoever wins this game can arguably be called the best team in the history of either school.
By front, wing Cuthbert. Now he comes slowly in motion. Back goes Nolan. West opening it up. Nolan fires the football. I think it was a completion, Frank. Very well done.
See, there's a lack of,
that
that was a great pass, and it was an even better pass because there's a lack of communication out there. I know that Jim Radigan was running a running play, and everybody else knew it was a pass play. He thought it was a running play. He was stalking the defensive back to make a block. He only had one receiver in the pattern.
Frank, on that play, the linebackers in the drop, what I see is on that, as they are flooding on that side, Frank, the linebackers have to come up and make a much more aggressive move against the ball. They're playing too soft. Let's see what happens here. Split backs. Leading it out is Kelso. Nolan has pressure, has a man. Intercepted! It's intercepted, Frank! On his feet, number 29. Fumbles the football. Who has it? West may have recovered. The man who intercepted for East was 29, Rob Mignon. Rob Mignon intercepted. He was hit. He fumbled the football, and West has recovered. Oh, boy. What a break for the Bucks, because if East gets that football, they have it at the 28-yard line. In fact, we talked at the half about the possibility of an interception because they've been putting the ball into that flood, and they're going to come up and attack it more aggressively.
He made a great break on the ball, and I thought he might get into the end zone, but you talk about ebb and flow right there. You saw the whole two sides of the stadium do a wave right there, because at first the East fans stood up, and then when they saw the fumble, they sat down, and the West fans stood up.
Ron Mignon, but with a good interception of a Corey Nolan football pass. Nolan moves Cuthbert to the outside. Wolf, the lone back behind him. Drew Wolf, back goes Nolan. He's still going to throw. Gets a little bit of pressure, throws it into the middle, and completes it. And Teddy Frisch really had that football, Frank.
He sure did. He had one hand in there, but Radigan was able to pull it in.
Good catch by Jimmy Radigan on a dangerous pass, because Ted Frisch is 6'5", and the big defensive end, 88. Frank, the play picks up 3 yards, and at 8 minutes to play in the third quarter, we said it would either be a great half or a nothing half. It started out like gangbusters. It's been a tremendous half of football. You couldn't ask for more as the excitement level rises. Nolan with two backs in the backfield, dropping back as West is throwing. Fires the football, a great catch, and throws again. Radigan caught the football. The question is, does he have enough for the first down? As West apparently deciding that they're going to open it up, loosen that front up, and then run draw and trap. He'll look for that. He's short, Frank, of a first down by possibly a yard or 2 yards. So it's third down with the football at the 37-yard line as Radigan ran that little curl to the sideline.
Maurer and Frisch were both milliseconds away from tipping that ball away, but he got it in there.
Now the East secondary is coming up a little closer, Frank, inching, and that may open the deep ball up, but on third, we got third and a long 2. Blitzing situation as East comes up with a different front. Nolan back to throw, throws the football, oh, and it's dropped by Cuthbert, Frank. He had $1 million play. He had $1 million play as one big thing after another happens. Cuthbert, coming off the block, slid into the secondary right in the middle. They looked at the blitz. They threw that against the blitz, and he could, with his speed, he could have broken it, and that brings up a fourth down. It'll be a punting situation for West. They will be kicking the ball with Cuthbert standing about his own. He'll kick it from about the 25. 15-14. East leads West, and the kick is a low, twisting end-over-end kick. Going to come to rest at the 39-yard line of East, and East will take over. Frank, East will take over at their own 39. They've got the win for another 650. And Frank, when was the last time you saw West come out and throw the football? What'd they throw it, 7, 8, 9 times out of 10?
Well, I guess they figured they just aren't able to move the ball against the superior size of CB East.
Frank, they are set, as Mike Pettin has always been a classic master. Jab with a pass, bring them up, and then hit the big play. Either the trap or the quarterback draw, which we haven't seen, different things. Give it off inside to Tate. Tate breaks the tackle and gets short yardage, Frank, and almost fumbled the football on the handoff. But Tate did a good job, and he's running very hard, the junior fullback, Jason Tate.
Number 77, Corey Borman, was able to play off a double team and stick his head in there, so Tate tripped over him.
Ball at the 41-yard line, Frank. We're going to call it, they marked it at the 40 off the punt, so we're going to give him a yard on it and call it a 2nd and 9. Football at the 41-yard line of East, and position right now is important. Back goes Coverdale to throw. Coverdale looking under pressure. Intercepted! It's intercepted! And the man who took it away was Anthony Ventresca as Coverdale had the receiver open. He had the receiver Campbell open, but Ventresca was right on the spot. He read the pass and attacked it and picked it off.
Anthony, excuse me, Marv, go ahead.
Frank, the ball is at the 45-yard line of East, 1st and 10, and once again, a major play and a major position shift.
J.J. Kelso now going in the ball game for Dow Garner. Anthony Ventresca, as we said, has been hurt. Back in the game for one of the first times in recent memory. Shows his tremendous speed by breaking through the ball, taking it away from the receiver. 1st and 10 from the 45.
Nolan back, throws the quick lead pass, and it is caught on a great catch. A fantastic catch by Randy Cuthbert, Frank. And there's a flag, Frank. That may be a personal foul against somebody. Let's see what this is. The flag came floating, but away from the pile. Let's see.
I don't
what
know,
it is.
but regardless of that, that had to be one of the best catches I've ever seen.
Let's see what it is, Frank. It may be against East. I have a suspicion it is. Personal foul against East, yeah.
Must have been a face mask or something. But as we said, Randy Cuthbert atoned from his previous mistake, made a tremendous one-hand grab, and the grab in itself was great, but he got drilled immediately as he caught the ball, held on to it. Not only that, maintained his balance, got a couple more yards, and the tide looks like it's turning.
Well, Frank, I think you can look at not just the interception, but on that play so close, if Mignon doesn't fumble, everything has had a shift in this game. So turning points, there are none. Everything shifts the whole ball game. Now it's the opportunistic West football team, which has never failed this year, given an opening to do it. Can the East defense, Frank, come up with yet another big play to stave them off?
Well, they got to score at this point. They sure can't kick a field goal with this win.
And Frank, against the wind, if they score, they've negated the choice. All right, center ball is set up. Wide receiver and a wing. Back goes Nolan, still throwing. Nolan has a man in the flat. Garner, and he is hit and brought down. And Frank, there may be a holding penalty.
Yeah, there
I think
was.
there is a holding
Absolutely.
penalty against West.
Absolutely, I saw it. It was blatant. It was on the interior of the line right there, and I believe it was against one of the big defensive linemen who happened to get by him, and he just grabbed him and roped him down the ground.
The holding penalty, Frank, will be against West. And this will help East defense at this point to stave it off. It's a 15-14 football game with the Patriots of Central Bucks East ahead of the Bucks of Central Bucks West. We got 5:03 to play in this, the third quarter. And they're marching it off against the Bucks. And then hammers them back, Frank, to the 36-yard line. So that's a big play. And now, Frank, it's 1st and 27. But we have seen the Bucks many times take advantage of this. It's almost like routine procedure. Wide to the lower part of your screen is Kelso, number 24. Back goes Nolan. Nolan looks. He has a man, Garner, and Garner is hit and brought down. Frank, as he threw the ball to Garner, Garner just did a little hitch pattern just come up about 5 yards and stop. So the football at the 32-yard line. Well, they mark it the 30, yeah, the 32. Going to call it 4 yards. Football at the 32. 2nd and 23 as West continues. Pass, pass, pass. Cuthbert wide to this side. They may be going up deep with the ball. In the slot is Radigan. Back goes Nolan, stumbles, keeps his feet. He's trying to chase him. He's trying to put some pressure on. Nolan running the football. Nolan's going to be met and hit, and down he goes. And give credit to the secondary of Central Bucks East. They would not permit a receiver, Frank, to get out. And West has another man down on the far side of the field. And that sack puts the football, as we have an injured man across the way. The football puts the ball at the 33. It's only a loss of a yard. Let's see who that is. Great secondary coverage and continued pressure. And Frank, you have to give Steve Schilt a tremendous amount of credit. Schilt was blocked 3 times, came off blocks, kept pursuing, wouldn't let Nolan have that second. He felled him there, and then they came up and read it and took him down. Wonderful play by Schilt. Norm Stanley on the sideline.
Just got an update on Randy Cuthbert, number 42, who received the pass and got injured. He was taken out, just got his bell rung a little bit. The doctor says he's okay, and he's standing on the sideline waiting to go in. We'll check on this injury for number 77 and be right back to you.
Bornman is down. He's just been replaced. I said Corey Bornman is down, and he's just been replaced by number 62, Steve Claycomb.
Well, Steve Claycomb, number 62, comes in for Borman's a 5'9", 170-pound senior. The loss of Bornman, however, could be an important loss because the cohesiveness of that West line, which Mike Carey has worked so hard to formulate this year from reasonably inexperienced players. A great job by him, as the Doylestown Daily Intelligencer noted in a nice article on that. The cohesiveness sometimes, Frank, slips away, and unfortunately, they're bringing Borman off the field, and he, Frank, is being helped off, and we certainly hope that we'll see him, as we did Darryl Garner, back in the football game. So right now, as they take, Borman comes off the field under assistance. There's 3:56 to play in the third quarter, with East leading 15-14 in the football game. East on a 46-yard run by Bart Sparango, electrifying this football game, bringing it to the sudden lightning to the game in the second half, to start the second half, and then a whole series of remarkable plays, interceptions, fumbles, great pass catches, amazing plays, and then a big penalty, and all of that, Frank, mixing into the cadence of this football game. East front, Payne 58 at the left side, on the top side of your screen, and Teddy Frisch. The nose guard is number 42, Craig Maurer. The defensive tackle, Steve Shilton, Mike Brown. The linebackers, 41, Jeff Bernhardt, 54, Brent Maurer. In the secondary, Rusty Paulus at the safety, and we'll name the rest of the secondary people after this play. As big third down play for the Bucks. Nolan back to throw. They know he's going to throw. Nolan, under some pressure, heaves the football, and it is no good, Frank. It was caught clearly out of bounds as Mignon had good inside coverage. The secondary, Rob Mignon, 29, Rusty Paulus, 14, the safety, Brad DeLauder, 34. Getting some discussion from Paulus on coverages. The senior Paulus cannot be given, Frank, enough credit in the East secondary. He is not playing quarterback where he's played all day. He's been injured, but he's in on that secondary where he has been an excellent safety, and he is the guy reading these instructions. And East is staying right with his team. If West is going to punt, nobody's coming on the field as DeLauder trots back. Will West punt? Will they punt? East is playing very soft, Frank. Full is fumbled, but he's going to run with it, Frank. He's going to run with it. He's going to be brought down. Still another amazing play. He fumbled. And East will get the football back with 3:33 to play in the third quarter at the 40-yard line. And Frank, East played very cautiously, looking for something, but that isn't what they thought. He was going to punt the football.
No, there's no way he was going to punt the football, and he just dropped it. It's as simple as that. And then, instead of trying to get it off right there, he thought it would be better to run the ball, or at least give himself a little distance right there. He was unable to get it off.
40-yard line in the mud. There's Greg Coverdale.
That's a huge play right there,
The
Mark.
quarterback, Roshan Campbell. They give it to Campbell on the counter. Tate delivers. No, the block this time was by Knight. Give Knight credit. An excellent block. And also Dean Behrens, the tight end. And he got 3 yards out of it, Frank. And he almost could have, if one more block, Frank, the outside is open on those counters. Their East is running from their right to their left, and they're finding some weakness. Clock ticks on, 2:54, 2:53, 15 for the white jerseyed East team and 14 for the gold and black of West in this great football game. Over the football, Hain the center. He's played well both ways today. Coverdale looks it over. Coverdale, toss, Sparango, and he dives across the 45, gets to the 46-yard line, and you'll have a third down, Frank, and we'll call it 6. 3rd and 6 at the 46. 3rd and 6 at the 46 as the West defense stiffens here, knowing that they want to hold at this point. Cannot afford to have another big play here because a first down here, Frank, is a bridge to a big drive, because they'll be in another first, but they'll be into 4-down territory. Wide to the lower part of your screen comes Rob Lockery. Motion this way, that's Campbell. Back to throw, Coverdale. Fires the football, and it is incomplete. Off the hands. So it'll be 4th down. It'll be 4th down. And East will punt with the wind with 1:54 to play. And this is where, now we'll see now, Frank, this is East's first punt. They've had 2 high snaps, and West may have it in their mind to come after the punter.
Well, if you remember, 2 years ago, scored 2 touchdowns, or at least had 2 big plays on punts, so we'll see if history repeats itself, and they are coming after it.
Snap is good. No, it isn't. He goes down. He's down. He slipped and fell. It's unbelievable what's happening out here today, Frank. He caught the snap was okay. He saw them coming up the middle, and for some reason, I can't explain it, he turned to the outside, Frank, probably fearing to kick it straight ahead. He stays there. I think he gets it away. So West takes the football over at the 34-yard line. And one thing after another as these teams track. They're down. These teams track each other. Frank, I think he saw the rush, and he just suddenly, I think he panicked a little.
That footing's so atrocious out there.
And then he slipped. Motion, Garner. Garner, deep motion. Rolling, there's the counter. And running the football is Cuthbert, and Cuthbert has some yardage. Pretty good block in there, Frank, by 64 of West, Steve Wasson, to open the hole.
And it had to be a pretty good block because it was on Steve Schulten. He's pushing 250 pounds. That was the first time all day, I think, that play has worked for him. They've been trying to run that inside counter or the inside trap to the inside of Schilt, and he's been crossing the face of that blocker all day. Shut him down that time.
On that punt, East lost the wind advantage to get it away and put West back deep in West in great field position. Last time the penalty hurt him. Nolan almost fumbled the football, but he's got it. Nolan running, has pressure, long throw to Cuthbert, overthrows him. Cuthbert covered in the deep flat on that side by Mike Walters, number 39. Corey Nolan, Frank, on at least 4 occasions has nearly fumbled the football. And coming out of there, Frank, on that snap, and he's got to be more stable. This seems to be, he's trying to get out too quickly.
Well, he's not the most fleet-footed guy to begin with, and he knows that he's having trouble with his footing, so he's in that much more of a hurry to get out from underneath the center. 55 seconds in the third quarter. East on top, 15-14. Leading the Bucks. Kelso in the slot. Back goes Nolan. He's trying to get a rush. Good blocking. Little flat pass, and it is caught, but hit immediately. Boy, it's hard to read the numbers in the mud here, but we'll check it and try to pick it up for you right away. Excellent play by Jeff Bernhard against Darrell Garner. Garner made a good catch. The ball was drilled, but Bernhard right there to read it, and that forces a 4th down as that little flat toss. I'm impressed with the way the West offensive line against really an all-out hard front rush by the 5 of East has been able to give Nolan time to pick those receivers up. Well, I think the key is that they're rolling out like that. When they roll out, you take the 5-man line down to a 2- or 3-man line. You got to give credit to Jeff Bernhard. He was there immediately, as Dave Zinkoff would say, upon arrival of the ball.
Will we have the trick shift this time? Will West stay over the football waiting for the shift? If East is smart, they won't move, because you can almost see West. Now they snap it. And he's going to throw the football. Man wide open. Man wide open. And he hits it. He hits it. The man was Anthony Ventresca. Frank, I didn't think they were going to throw that football. It didn't make sense.
There's no way that play should work. There's no way that play should work. You play defense in that situation, and that's all you do.
Yeah, that was a lapse on the East secondary because all they had to do, they had nothing to do back there. If he punts the football, let him punt it. They have to sit back there and watch on that backside and say whoever's coming with them, they see a man going down. They have no interest in the punt whatsoever. And the quarter is over, and Central Bucks West with a fake punt pass from the punter for West. I think it's with Cuthbert, Randy Cuthbert, making an excellent toss. But Frank, even there, the ball was in the air a long time. The secondary just had no recognition, and that's what loses football games. Opening the third quarter is Corey Nolan sprinting to the sideline, threw it into the ground, and there's an interference. There's an interference, Frank. No, he's out of bounds. Well, I don't know what it is, Frank. I thought that he had threw the flag as though it were interference.
There is a flag.
The pass looked like it was out of bounds.
Could have been any number of things.
The East players are reacting as though it's interference. A hard situation. East gets called for pass interference, Frank, near the sideline, and so it puts the ball first down at the 6-yard line, and West has never missed from this point this year.
When it rains, it pours.
But Frank, who knows? With the breaks that have been going in this game, you're liable to get Nolan throwing the ball. Must have thrown 15 times this half. Nobody knows.
This has been an incredibly exciting game, and we would like to remind you that you can buy VHS copies of this game from Home-Vue Cable. All you got to do is ask for Jim Bunn at 345-5151. and you can have this forever.
Down to Norm Stanley on the sideline, 15-14 East.
Two East captain cheerleaders here, Amy and Mindy. Amy and Mindy are rooting for East. It's a close game. What do you think so far, gal?
It's great. It's so exciting. We're so proud of our guys.
Well, they've done a good job so far. We'll see what happens the rest of the game. Let's hear a cheer for them.
All right,
Back to you. Thanks, gals.
Well, a timeout, 11:56 to play in the football game. East leading 15-14, but West, just as they have all year, making things happen. A 4th down fake punt pass in which there was just a go to sleep on the East deep people's parts, has set it up, and then a pass interference. The ball's on the 6-yard line, 1st and goal to go. And this is a real test because West has one of the, if not the best, field goal kicker in Suburban 1, and Mark Hartnett. So all kinds of possibilities, as there have been throughout this game. Breaking the huddle, come the Bucks. Let's see what the choice of play is as Mike Pettin was in the timeout huddle. Cuthbert with the drill to block. They shift. East reacts. Now it's Garner. Look for toss left. Garner with it. Garner on the toss, slips and down he goes. Garner had the cut, but he slipped, and filling the hole on an excellent play for East was Brent Maurer, who came quickly when he saw the toss, but you can almost read it, and a tough defensive play by Big Steve Schultz to jam it, forcing him to cut back.
That's right. He was able to play down the line, as we were talking about earlier, and force Darryl Garner to make that quick shift and get his hands in there to bring him down.
2nd and 6, Frank. Nolan calls it. Tight backs, Nolan rolling, Nolan sprinting, Nolan running the football, has room, and then he's tripped. He's knocked down as Brian Hain knocked him down, and they're going to mark the football. Let's see where. At the 6, I think.
That is
Frank, Brian Hain, the defensive end, really came up with
great play.
Super smart play.
Because he was down on the ground, and he had 2 blockers on him right there. All he did was dive in front of Corey Nolan, trip him up. It's going to be 3rd down and 6 from the 6.
Because Nolan had a path to the goal line.
Well, again, the footing is coming into play. He could not make a clean cut.
Cuthbert wide to the left. Nolan with Wolf, the lone setback, throwing down. Rolling is Nolan, thrown to the backside, and it's caught by Radigan, but he's short, Frank. He's at the 2-yard line, 1.5. He fired it to the backside where they've had success. Now, timeout for West. West is taking a timeout. Mike Pettin wants to discuss this. 10:28 to play in the football game. The white-shirted East team, 15, and the black-shirted Buck team, 14 of Central Bucks West. It is a 4th and about 1.5 yards to go, and now the decision will have to be made whether to go for the Mark Hartnett field goal with the win or whether to take the football and try to get the score.
Well, I'm glad I'm not a coach because it's a tough decision. Apparently, he's going for the field goal, but here's the problem right here. Here's the variable. The ball is on the right hash, and as you know, in high school, the hash is real wide. That's a tough angle for Hartnett to kick. But he's done a great job, won 3 or 4 games for him before in similar situations. So Mike Pettin, with no hesitation, has made the decision.
I'll tell you something, Frank. At this situation right now, the wind is swirling from left to right in a twisting way, but we're watching, you can't see it on your screen right now, but we can see the big stadium, the big post flag at the end of the stadium, and that wind keeps twirling. But at this range, I'm not sure that Hartnett can't kick through and put it up. The wind should not be a factor in that close.
What do you think those 2 guys are thinking about right there? Mark Hartnett, what do you think his mind's saying?
He's thinking about keeping his head down and meeting the ball as he has all year, Frank. He's a nice man thus far. I think the real pressure is what's the guy who has to make the snap thinking. I've always thought that. Everybody always says, what's the kicker going through, the agonies of the kicker? He doesn't have any agony depending on the ball and the holder getting it down. He only has to kick the ball.
That's the ultimate thankless position.
Oh, you can do everything wrong and right is routine.
That's right.
Well, let's see what happens right now. A 15-14
Now there's
game.
a wise choice right there.
Smart move. Smart move.
That is a wise move. I got to give him credit for that. And, you know, the explanation for our viewers is that merely he wanted to back it up 5 yards to give his kicker a better angle. The distance is not a problem. The angle to the goalpost is. Geez, I don't know. What do you – whew, I'm glad I'm not the coach.
Well, you want to see, as you see the official signaling, you see Hartnett standing to the left of the official. Now, Hartnett's putting his mark down, and his mark for a right-footed kicker, he's got pretty much that goal post in front of him, Frank. If the snap's good, this guy can do it. Let's see if East is coming hard. 3 years ago, they blocked the field. Snap is low. Kick is up. The kick is good. He boomed it through, Frank. It was straight on. Hit it through the right side, but the snap was a low snap, and Nolan did an excellent job putting it on the tee. So the score goes to 17 for West, 15 for East, 10:24 to play. West has the wind. West has gone ahead again, as they have every time this year when pressured. And this East team, which has never quit, do they have another one left in them to get it someplace down there? And do they have, can Dara make a field goal against the wind?
There's a lot of questions that will be answered in the last 10:24 of this game. But I want to reiterate, and
there's your hero so far.
That's right.
Your immediate hero. Hartman made the field goal, but
my humble opinion is this, Marv. Whoever wins this game is the best team, and I emphasize the word team, in the history of CB East and CB West. My apologies to some of the great players like the McConishes and Stan Caverages and Carries and Somervilles from either teams, but whoever wins, best team in the history of either of these schools.
Well, Hartnett is digging himself a hole in the center of the field. It reminds you of the old playground days when he used to dig a hole to set the ball up, and he puts his tee down on the hole. Deep to receive it for the Patriots. Bart Sparango, who went 46 yards for a touchdown earlier, and number 34, Bradley DeLauder. And the field, what happens on this kickoff is important because East must try to get some kind of decent upper movement. They have to have some room to move her. They're against the wind. Kick sails to Sparango. He lets it go and it goes into the end zone. That's that wind, Frank. It took it right through. So at the beginning of the ball game, East started here. And last time East had the football, they had kind of a 3 and out. 3 plays and out for the defense in. And if they have that this time, the field position change with a win will give West another enormous opportunity and it could snow it under.
I can't remember another game I've watched where the field position, the wind, and the field footing has played a bigger part in the game.
That's the election to go with the wind in the first half. Now coming back, Sparango on the motion, Coverdale running the option. Coverdale breaks 1 tackle, and he comes across and gets up to about the 24-yard line, and he gets a pickup of a solid 4 yards.
Well, I'll tell you one thing I know, and that is that the right side of that CB East offensive line, led by Naughton and Schilt and probably Dean Behrens, were just doing some earth moving in there.
Ball at the 24, 2nd and 6, as he was looking to make the toss, but he saw it. Coverdale has done an excellent job.
Yeah,
today.
that option's been a good play for him. I don't think he's used the pitch man yet.
Tate with Sparango behind Coverdale. Coverdale gives it off this time to Tate. Breaks it into the open, and Jason Tate hammers his way to the 35-yard line. And boy, what blocking off the left side that time. Naughton, 76, Big Mike Brown, and Jamie Tusinski, the other tackle, the junior, 6'3", 220, and they have really surged. But Frank, this football game has had so many marvelous things by both teams, you can't give enough plaudits. At the ball at the 35, 17 to 15, Central Bucks West leading, 1st and 10 for East. Greg Coverdale, the junior, long count. Almost a movement by West. Coverdale on the option, reads it, breaks it, dives on his feet, and he runs a football for 9 yards. Greg Coverdale runs a football for 9 yards, and he's up to the 40, put a mark at the 43-yard line, 8 yards, we're moving 8. 2nd and 2 as the Patriots coming with a drive. But Frank, and you wonder whether with the wind blowing against them, does Dara have the foot? If they get to that point, I think they're thinking end zone. They've got to put it in.
Yeah, you got to score a touchdown at this point, I believe.
8:49 to play. 2 points up for the black-shirted Bucks. 2nd and short. Coverdale fumbles the football but falls on it. Coverdale fumbles the football but falls on it.
See, that's
loss of a yard.
That's a big play right there because it's a gimme down. You got a 2nd and yard situation. You know you got 2 more downs to run the ball.
Loss of 2 yards, and as well, a 1st down now could get them out of what is probably one of the 2 muddiest spots on the field. It's very difficult footing there. As West sends in defensive changes with Kelso on a corner. They got Garner and number 41 for West, who is Jeff Lindsay into the linebacker. Coverdale calls it. He shifts. Frisch goes to the right side, tight end.
Unbalanced line.
Toss to Sparengo. He fights his way off a block, and he was snowed under as he could not get the penetration. He wanted to run it inside, but the linebacker filled on that side, Garner, and then the corner, Kelso, came up, and the front people would stop, and East has now a big decision to make. They have a big decision to make. It's 7:40 and count, and the football's at the 43 or 43-yard line. It's 4th down, and it's about a yard and a half, and they're going to go for it.
I'm glad I'm not the coach. It's a tremendously difficult decision.
And West calls timeout. West calls timeout. Now, the timeout will give East an opportunity to steady the play and to go over the assignments and set themselves up. I think Calvin is making an interesting but a justifiable choice. If he punts, he's had trouble with the snap on the punts. He's had trouble with the punting today. 7:25 to play. If he kicks the ball into the wind and he kicks it 35 or 40 yards and West has the possession, they're going to eat the time up anyway.
Well,
you got to stop them no matter what you do.
I agree. Even if you kick them the ball, West then goes 3 and punts, you lost 20 yards in the transition. So you
because of the wind.
That's, you know, when you think about it in those terms, Marv, that's a wise choice.
This point, if he gets the first down, he will have it at a point where they can get to dry footing. Anything that comes down below the 30, moving in that direction, the footing is pretty good.
Well, if I can be a prognosticator here, take particular attention to where Steve Schutt lines up. He's their big horse. If I was a coach, I'd want to run up his back. Oh, my mistake. I thought he was playing a little bit of offense, but he's not.
No, it's Kaczynski and Brown are the tackles, Frank. You see, they're going to have 2 tight ends, though. I see in the East huddle, Barron's 97 and Ted Frisch 88, both in the football game. They're going power. Kaczynski and Mike Brown, the tackles. 2, 4, 5. They got an 8-man front they're looking at. Toss. Give it to Springer. He's nailed. They don't get it. And the man who did it was number 41. Jeff Livesey, the linebacker, who dove in. Actually, Franklin was slatted through from the inside linebacker post on the blitz. West has held. The West defense is held in a critical position. They get the football at the 42-yard line. Frank, you know, you get some temptations in your life, and it's wonderful for us to say this, but with 8 men on the front, boy, you could have thought if they'd have called just for a quick little pop pass, it was there. But you can't, sure, that's fine with audibles in college, but you can't do that in high school.
Well, hindsight is 20/20, as you know.
Great defensive call by West to have 8 men, putting 8 men
That's
up
right.
there.
See, the thing is, they even had the block on the front side. Go ahead, Marv, I'll tell you about it.
Nolan faking, Nolan going to throw. Nolan looking. Nolan fires the football. Nolan fires the football complete.
Now that, you talk about good play calling. That's a great play right there. A little play fake. He's got 2 receivers, Cuthbert and Radigan down there. Both of them were pretty open. He hit Radigan. On the previous play, we got
to Paul Shish.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Paul Shish, 85, I think.
Right, he had Shish and Cuthbert open. On the previous play, he had on the previous East play, he had the block on the front side. Livesey scraped behind the blocks, submarined and tripped him up.
Football resting. Football resting at the 25-yard line is Corey Nolan with Wolf and Garner. Nolan on the quick trap to Wolf. Breaks into the center. They just popped a quick trap. They've been pass, and that time as soon as he came back, quick trap. The West-East front wants to get in. They figure it's pass again. Pops the quick trap, and they're at the 6. And Frank, I think if they score this time, this one's over.
Well, that's one of the first times all day they've had a really successful running play, believe it or not.
This is the type of game that West has played all year. They've been behind into the 4th quarter, and they've never failed. Now can East rally? Toss to Garner, big hole, and then he is met. He is met. As Craig Maurer, 42, came across the field, and the secondary people came, Brent Maurer and Bernhard. And number 76 for the Patriots, Mike Brown, and they held him, but he's at the 5, so they did a pretty good job because there was a hole, but Maurer sliding, nailed his leg.
On the other side of the ball, Cuthbert and Drew Wolf had nice blocks.
Once again, the possibility of a Hartnett field goal which could stretch it to force East to score a touchdown. Full house backfield. Nolan faking, gonna throw. Nolan looking, throws. Touchdown! Touchdown! A great catch by number 81. Amazing catch because Nolan's pass is over to his right.
He threw that ball like a pitcher, low and away, because it was the only spot on the field that an East defender couldn't have got to it. He put the ball in the only spot he could have possibly put it in, and Radigan did a tremendous job of getting to that spot and tucking that ball in.
Well, we've had 150 amazing moments in this football game.
You said it. Best East-West game I have ever seen, played in, or heard about.
Ready to boot it, Harden at the snap, the kick is, oh, Nolan trying to go for two and he goes for nothing. He is smothered in there as an alert play by number 41, Jeff Bernhard. Jeff Bernhard, the linebacker, rushing against the kick, made a good play and tucked him up. So it's 23-15. They really had, well, you know, you wonder, if you make it 24-15 with a kicker like Hartman, they got to score twice to beat you.
Of course, now they got it. Now, of course,
they can tie you.
Of course.
Try to pick this out, right? 23 and 2 and 25, 10 points. Says, well, if they score 8 and 2, still beat you. Well, there's enough here, Frank, for the armchair strategist.
151 now.
151 amazing things in this game.
Well,
only thing more wild, Frank, is if East runs the kickoff back, and now you got the whole thing going again over the last 5. But there's 5:39 to play. West 23, 15 for East, who led 15-14 going into this quarter. But as they have in almost any game that's been close this year, West has managed to find the recipe in the fourth quarter. They've been the best fourth quarter team I have ever seen, bar none. No team has been just trailed more times this year in the fourth quarter. Long, high, big kickoff to Sparengo. Sparengo at the 5, slips, 10, 20. Woo! And he is really rocked. He is really rocked as Darrell Garner made a big hit on Sparengo at the 22-yard line.
Pardon my outburst there, but that was a hit of the week on the running back by number 7, Ventruska. Hit him high, and Darrell Garner hit him low, and he did a real pinwheel right about the 21-yard line.
Sparengo with the ball at the 21 as West, obviously, now they have that verve that comes from going ahead.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. Coverdale, Tate the lone back. Will they start throwing? Coverdale dropping. Coverdale looks, has a man, and it is complete to the 35-yard line. It is complete to Rob Lockery, number 27, the wideout. Lockery takes it at the 20, and it is complete to the 30. The marking is the 34.
Great pass and catch.
5:15. Coverdale throwing the ball well. 23-15. We're at the 5-minute mark and counting as East breaks their huddle. Lockery to the lower part of your screen. Up top is Campbell. Coverdale fumbles the football, and Coverdale dives forward and gets it just about back to the line of scrimmage. Ball is slippery, Frank. Both quarterbacks have had trouble handling the football at times today, particularly in the mud.
Brought down by Steve Chiquillo.
Second down, 10.
Lone back is Tate. Coverdale calling the signals in the mud. Coverdale back to throw. Coverdale looking. Fires to the sidelines into a crowd. And to very short, it's another noner. He cannot throw that ball, Frank, into that sideline flat. That's the pattern, because it is not going to be there. They got to spread the field and look for their chance to take it big. They are not going to run out of downs. They lost twice now. They have lost with the fumbled footballs, important downs, which could have changed their whole ball control position.
That's a good point, Marv.
The fumble put them in position of having to go on 4th down earlier.
That's right.
Let's see what we're on 3rd and 9. Lone back. Coverdale got it. Look, there's a man. Caught at the 40-yard line. Caught in the flat. Let's see if I can. That's by Scott Campbell. So the football is at the 40, and it is 4th down. There's 4 minutes to play. You got about 5 yards. You got about 5 yards.
Tell them about that fumble again, Marv. That was an enormous, it slid by unnoticed, but it was a huge
The fumble takes away a yardage gaining play from them of any kind. Now instead of having a 4th and 5, that might be the first down on the preceding play. It effectively eliminates a down and forces you to use a 4th down play and potential for turnovers there. Coverdale dropping. Coverdale looks for a man, has time, there's a man, he's running it. Coverdale, he's knocked out of bounds. Coverdale ran out of time. Frank, if he'd have been, he has a tough decision because he sees coverage. His receivers don't get open. He's got to go to that sideline. If he had just another 2 seconds, his receiver finally got free, but there it is. Excellent coverage by the West secondary and great pursuit by Jeff Lisby, the little linebacker who's been on important play after play.
Both 4th down plays, Jeff Lisby was able to come in and make the stop on 4th down, and boy, he's going to be a happy boy today.
Well, West in control, 23-15. It looked like they're going to wrap it up. Toss to Garner, outside. Garner tripped and brought down on a fine play by number 30. No, number 30, Campbell.
No,
Bernhardt settled him in, but Campbell made the play, hooking his leg as they went for toss, but that eats up time. He gets 3 yards. Football to 39 of East, 2:58 to play, 23-15 the Bucks, and the Bucks are going to finish, from all reasons, unless a sudden major reversal comes, they're going to finish undefeated and #1 in the state of Pennsylvania. This game is the state championship game for Central Bucks West, but an East football team that has played its heart out today has met the 4th quarter Kings.
We'd like to thank the Kings of the Central Bucks Home-Vue sports team after this play.
Setbacks now are Wolf and Garner. Eastern and Orthodox front. They give it to Wolf and he is jammed as he gets maybe a yard. Bottom of the pile, number 78, Steve Schilt, who's made tackle after tackle today. Frank, I think the East defense now has got to take some chances here on 3rd down. I think they've got to come with a blitz this time. They've got to fill every gap and plug this up. And if he throws, they've just got to take secondary coverage and hope to hurry him. You can't sit in an Orthodox front at this point and let them run at you. Let's see what they do. They're playing it stand up. Nolan on the quarterback rollout is not going to get it. He is hit and brought down. Good play on that side. Making the tackle is Scott Campbell, but good play by the defensive end, Mike Russo, number 91, who played it very hard. And now it's 4th down, and Mike Petten is not going to punt this football. He's not going to punt the football. We're 1:58, timeout East. They're going to hold the ball here to have any shot at all.
Let me go back to it and just say, as I started, that our director through most of the year and doing a great job today has been Jim Bunn. Audio is Jeff Tyndall. Rick Lockridge on graphics. Cameras have been Bob McMahon, Keith Peters, and Tom Brunt, assisted by Laura Janusik, Joe Karpovich, and Joe Elby. Did a great job for us. As you see the very intense East huddle trying to get the ball back.
Well, it's undoubtedly the coach Larry Green, who does the defensive work for East, is saying to him that this is the biggest 3 yards if we're to have any hope at all of picking this football game up. I think, though, Frank, of all the teams that have played Central Bucks West this year and led them going into the 4th quarter, none of them has had the capacity, Frank, to avoid the big play, the great play, and you have to, it's simply a matter of saying that West has had the internal capacity, they've had some, whatever it is that a football team musters to say something is going to happen, that we are going to get a chance and we will get it. And if you talk about things happening, there were so many things. If you replay this football game, you can point to dozens of individual plays that just shifted the whole thing.
Watch for the freeze play by CB West.
You're talking about the shift where they're going to sit there, take the penalty. Time is out. Full house backfield, power eye rather. There they shifted and there they went offsides. You called it, big guy.
Well, that's something that has happened a lot, but he has the opportunity to call it on CB West because Corey did buck his head like that.
Nah, it's going to be against the East.
Yeah.
Cuthbert went in motion. They've seen him do it 200 times, Frank. If you watch West football, you know on 4th down that Mike Pettin's going to come out and he's going to shift somebody over to draw you offside. You got to sit patiently. But I don't fault Maurer, because if there's one man in this football game who you've got to look at as certainly one of the candidates for the Kingsbury Award in this ball game, Frank, it's got to be that Craig Maurer, the nose of Central Bucks East, number 42. Power eye. They're just going to hold on to the ball now, West. Now they shift again into the eye with Cuthbert on the wing. Give it on a counter and nowhere. And you know who made that hit, Frank? Craig Maurer, the middle guard. Minute and 40 seconds, a minute and 39. It's been an amazing football game. There's so much to talk about. This will be one that the people gathered around the Cracker Barrel in the winter. They used to call it the Hot Stove League. Those people will have plenty to talk about as time runs out now. 2nd and 10. West content to just sit on this football. Toss to Garner. Garner is dropped in the backfield. Hit made by Brent Maurer, the linebacker. I don't think you can give enough credit to the East defense. I don't know how you can credit them. They played basically so well today. And it was I think it was major lapses. It was a missed tackle. It was going to sleep on a 4th down fake punt. These kind of things, they hit them hard. But if you say on the technical aspects of football, on the basic football part, I'd say that the East defense handled the West offense. They forced Mike Pettin to throw the football. I wonder how many passes West has thrown today. I'm going to ask our statistician, Tim Johnson, if he can help us out here and tell us how many times. Well, in the first half, they threw 7. In the second half, they must have thrown 20. And there's no question that the credit for that goes to the East defense. Nolan, quarterback keeper, he's brought down on the backside by Jeff Bernhard with help from Craig Maurer. Craig Maurer has been everywhere on this field today. Frank, 39 seconds. East takes, I think, their last timeout. 23-15. Central Bucks West is going to finish number 1. They're going to finish undefeated. But what a football game.
I think if there's any kind of congratulations that should really be put out there, regardless of who won or lost, Marv, I'd like to take this time out and call out a few names. Dean Behrens, Jeff Bernhardt, Mike Brown, Scott Campbell. On the other side of the ball, you have Sam Bowditch, Joseph Bonitatis, Matt Baggett. You know who they are. They're the seniors. Steve Claycomb, Darrell Garner, Rob Hackenmoglo, Brad DeLauder, Park DePore, Jim Fax, Teddy Frisch. You also have from East Eric Kemp, Rob Lockery, Brent Maurer, Ron Mignon, Rick Kaiser, Pete Houck, Mark Hartnett. I'm up to Rob Kilkenny and Corey Nolan, Jim Radigan, Steve Schilt, Mike Russo, Clark Polis, Chris Naughton, Bart Sparango, Mike Walters, Anthony Valentino, Steve Dara, Drew Wolf, Mike Wall, Brett Smith. Those guys are the most important players in this stadium today. Congratulations on 3 great years, and please finish your season out happily.
4th down, Cuthbert waiting for the snap. He's going to run the football, and that time they fooled nobody. The East secondary was the East defensive front, as they have all day, was there. 34 seconds remain. I think also you got to give some credits, particularly, I watched something, Frank, in the secondary, 2 men. Paulus, who had a great day. I think his coverages were remarkable today. Paulus, who did a great job for East, and Rob Kilkenny, Bobby Kilkenny of West, who had remarkable pass coverage work today.
Right, now the Fat Lady has not sung yet. They got 4 chances to go downfield. And,
overthrown, and Campbell tackled Ventresca. Campbell had no shot. In this mud, Frank, I don't think you can get somebody deep enough because of the footing for them to set it up. And they had a 2-receiver pattern that time. Their best bet may be to send that and roll the back quickly to the side, or come screen. Just come, not middle screen, but come with an outside screen. Excuse me. 25 seconds remaining. West is 23 and East is 15. And West is playing everybody in their eye, dropping it into a very soft secondary. Going to come with just 4 men up front. Livesey is the lone middle backer. Coverdale rolling, gets nice protection, throws into the backside, and it's dropped by Lockery. But even if he catches it, number 24, J.J. Kelso of the Bucks was there. and some of the frustration, a little bit of it coming out on the two players, just a little bit. You got to retain your cool. This game was hard fought. It's a hard game for East to lose. They wanted it very badly, but just as badly West said, look, we're number one, and if we're down, we can prove we're number one, and they did. They came from behind in the fourth quarter. Trips this time. That's the first time we've seen that for East. Coverdale back. He has to get protection. Does. Heaves a long football. Man is there. Oh, and it's just over the outstretched hands of the intended receiver for East, number 20, Bart Sparengo. Sparengo and Lockery, Rob Lockery, the East Rob Lockery, out of trips. Against that rush, though, out of trips, you can do that. I didn't realize they had trips in their arsenal when they were down 17-15.
I never saw it, yeah.
Football game. Coach has got to worry about. He's got to say to himself, geez, what if I? John Calpin's foolish if he does that, because there were just too many things that were done here by players. Fumble, ball pulled away, 9 seconds.
It's fitting that the final emphatic play of the game was done by Rob Lockery, because
What a strong game.
Yeah,
Rob Lockery of West, the tackle, 72, hit Coverdale, jerked the ball loose. The football recovered by West, and I think you'll look for just a quarterback sneak or nothing. The clock is running. That's the end of the ball game, Frank. The Bucks have won the ball game, 23-15, over the Patriots, and you see an enormously group of Bucks, and well, they deserve to be racing out into the center of the field. They have finished this season undefeated. They have finished first in the state. They have finished first in the Colonial League, first in every poll where you can be first, and they certainly finished first among teams who have exhibited the courage to be down, facing defeat multiple times through the year, not once or twice, but probably I think 6 times, and have refused to die. Is an enormous, enormous credit to this football team. And the West football team, certainly from the beginning of this season, people thought, well, we have. And Frank, your final thoughts.
My heart goes out to the CB East players. There's not a more heartbreaking feeling than trying your hardest and having lost. And God bless them. Good luck to them in the rest of their senior year. And congratulations to CB West.
Well, many of those East football players, Frank, we hope have not played their last football game. They'll be going on to play next year, because obviously this is a talented football team. And when they wanted to play this year, they could play anybody, and they proved that today. They had a sterling performance.
Coach Patton, 32-0, your first Suburban 1 championship. How does it feel?
Well, let me get the game plans here. Somebody.
Okay, don't want to lose a game plan.
I have never been more pleased. You know, we weren't supposed to do any of this. You know, we weren't supposed to go undefeated. We weren't supposed to win the championship. We weren't supposed to win today. And
well, they're awful happy, and I'm glad that they're so big. And congratulations to you, Coach Patton.
Thank you, Norm.
Awfully nice season. Well, I'll see you again next year. Back to you.
Well, Frank, from jubilation to the morose, unfortunate sadness, that pallor, that grim letdown that comes over you after you've played a football game, as hard as you can play, you see these kids trooping off the field. They have a great deal also to say that they did a tremendous job today. And the kids from East certainly have nothing to be ashamed about, do they?
My pop said to me one time that regardless of whether you win or lose, if you tried your hardest, then the Angels could do no more. You see Frank Naylor right there, who did a good job helping these guys become, in my opinion, CB West I'm talking about, some of the greatest overachievers that I've ever met.
You heard Coach Mike Pettin say it's the best win he's ever had, and I think that, Frank, reflects, as you see Captain Baggett in the center. And now, Frank, let's run down to Norm Stanley, who's down below, and we hope he's going to pick up Mike Pettin.
Coach John Kalpin of the Patriots. Coach, another tough Thanksgiving day, but I'll tell you the Patriots really did a good job, especially in this quagmire you had out here. A close game. I imagine pretty tough again for the second time.
It is very tough. Nothing more I can say. We had just the 2 plays on the kicking game, one where we didn't kick the ball and one where we didn't stop them on the fake punt. I think was the turning points, the 2 big points in the game, because we lost field position on the first one and then we would have stopped them in the second one. So it was just there's a couple other things that happened, I don't want to discuss now, but otherwise I think they were the 2 key plays for us.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you stopping by. Good luck, and good luck on next season.
Thank you.
Back to you.
Well, up here, we were saying just before this went off, Frank, that, and you take a look at this, Coach Mike Pettin saying it's the best win he ever had, and I believe he's saying it's the best win he ever had because it probably concludes not only the enormity of the season for him, not only the finishing #1 and being undefeated, but he is saying it's the best win I ever had probably because he was tested to the fullest today. It wasn't the kind of game where you can blow it away even if you finish undefeated, and he is, I think, impliedly acknowledging that he had kids this year maybe he didn't expect to do what they did. And you called them overachievers. They were absolutely achievers at their best, and they seldom showed their worst. I don't think this team ever played a poor football game. They played some games where they got behind, they trailed, they may not have played up to what they played today. They played as well as they can today in many respects.
Well, I just want to go on record as saying that I really believe, and as I said, it's very much open to argument, but I believe this is the best CB West team that's ever played on the field, and I emphasize the word team. There have been teams with better talent across the board, and that, in and of itself, is why these guys can pat themselves on the back and really look back on today for the rest of their lives and knowing that no matter what else happens to them, for one day they were the best.
Yeah, there isn't very much question about that, Frank. This is a remarkable set of football players. And down below us, of course, the camera's picking up some of the post-game kind of calming, Frank, as people move toward the West parents moving over near their locker room. I think the East parents as well, people who wish East well, coming over toward their side of the field. And you see people who haven't seen each other for a long time shaking hands, ex-players, good people. And this game finished as one might have expected from many times the game to be, and that is that it's a meeting of 2 teams who really, Frank, on any given Saturday are as good, or Friday night are as good as any teams there are anywhere around. If you conceive that within one school district you have 2 football teams like this, certainly it's a nice thing. It's a tip of the hat to the coaching staffs and the people who are doing the teaching, because football's teaching, Frank. And that's the biggest part of school, is teaching. The rest of it is all glitz and buildings and things, but teaching is where it's at. So that's a tremendous effort. And Frank, we're down. I think Norm Stanley is down there with a important guest. Norman?
Drew, 32-0, and you've been through a couple of good seasons, a couple of real quagmire Thanksgiving Day games, but you got to be happy that you won this one. Good game in the mud. How did it feel out there under this soggy field?
It was scary, and as you said, this field is very wet, and the conditions are terrible for a football game, except for the weather. It's nice out, but we had to live up to our standards. We had to go by the coaching and play the game. We had to outsmart them and outspeed them. We had to run outside of them, pass over them. We had to use our talent to beat them today.
How does it feel to have 32 in a row and your first Suburban 1 championship?
It's an incredible feeling. I never had a feeling like it. I can't compare it to anything.
Drew, this is the first year of the Suburban 1 Sports League, and it went from the Bucksmont, and of course, I think early in the season, they were saying that maybe the Central Bucks schools, East-West, could not compete on the same level that they had in the past with the Suburban 1 schools. Now that you've had a whole season and you came out the championship, what's your feeling about that?
Well, it's all a bunch of bull. Right now, I can afford to say that now. We had so many coaches telling us that not one team is going to go through the Suburban 1 League undefeated. And that was just a big incentive to prove them wrong, and we did today, especially the Abington coach. I wish he was here right now. He was against us the whole way, but we left our mark. We were supposed to be we're supposed to lose at least 4 games. Prediction by everybody. So.
Well, again, undefeated, Drew. Thanks for stopping by. Congratulations. I know you want to get back to your team. Thank you.
Thanks.
Back to you.
Well, Frank, I'm up here. Norm has been down there and he interviewed Drew Wolf, who made a personal statement and perhaps a team statement that West made a determined vow, a team which perhaps predictably before the season because of graduation losses would lose some football games in the Suburban 1. He particularly remarked that the coaches in the Suburban 1 said they will not go through undefeated through this year, and they in fact proved everybody wrong. Those who didn't know West were proved wrong. Some of us who knows this football team and knows the people surround these two programs know that either of these teams could have made the run for the Roses. And in fact, today, as you said, Frank, whichever team wins can take the title of being the best football team. And I think that's what we saw. We saw 2 excellent football teams. West is the best football team, but East is certainly a football team of which those people who support this game may be justifiably proud on the east side of the field. And Frank, once again, it's been a great opportunity. I hope we get a couple of more. God is good to us. And we have thanks to get a couple more Thanksgiving Day games in, you and I, old buddy, and another season looking ahead. And, of course, I'm getting set to head for the wrestling mats this winter with Bobby Starner and W. Rodney Stone and John Tomlinson will have their 2 wrestling teams cooked up and ready to go. And the basketball season will be underway. The winter sports are here. And for those of us who love athletics and love high school athletics and love to see these young men and young women, and by the way, special congratulations to the Central Bucks East field hockey team, which won the state championship this year. How many glories have these athletic teams brought here? But Frank, in a time when sometimes, as you saw yesterday, and the unfortunate drug situation where you get some few students who are involved in that and they're picked off, Frank, what's done here today makes you understand, and I think all of us understand, the great value of athletics and the importance of the program and what it does for young people.
I'd just like to say congratulations to West, condolences to East, and happy Thanksgiving to all.
Good night, and enjoy your late evening snacks.